Oh, shit.
Hi, baby. What's up, buddy? Hi. Hi, buddy.
Welcome to the BigMX Radio Indianapolis Supercross pregame show. I am your host, Brad Gebhart. With me in studio here, but via Zoom, my co-hosts. They're with me on every single one of these shows. He leaves without a trace. He came here tonight to get on Denny's case. He is from Race Tech. Give it up for Checkers. Chris Riesenberg, how's it going?
Pretty good. Well, at least I'm here to do the podcast, unlike somebody else, and I'm here to discuss Indianapolis, and it sounds like a lot of people aren't going to be there either. So I'm excited to make fun of all those guys for not showing up.
No kidding. Yeah, we've got some serious injuries happening, as well as some guys who are just, staying at home, doing some training and maybe focusing on outdoors. Like you said, we're going to get into that, but also with us on the line, he is the 1990 East Coast 125 Supercross champion. He's opinionated. He's often wrong. He is Denny Stevenson. Denny Stevenson, welcome back to the show.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Great show last week. Daytona was fantastic, as it always is. Tomac laid it down once again, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about Indy. And like we talked about, some of these guys these teams have decided to pull the riders off the track. Interesting time we're living in, but round 9. Indianapolis.
That is maybe the least of our worries as far as interesting times we currently live in. We could touch on a million things there, but we're only going to touch on Supercross related topics in that regard on this particular show. Let's move straight into the Race Tech rapid recap. But before we do that, a quick read about Race Tech. Race Tech Gold Valve's basically a revalve in a box. Don't believe me? Email or call them up. They have amazing service staff that are extremely knowledgeable. They are trained to help you out. But you know what? You don't have to go straight to California and go to the headquarters or even call the headquarters in order to get service. You could call up someone like PDR Performance out of Minnesota. They are the suspension tuner for Checkers, one of our hosts on this show. If they can handle his air wheelie landings, clearly they know what they're doing, and you'll be getting your suspension done by some people who know. Go to the website, find yourself a dealer that's closer to you. If you happen to not live anywhere close to Minnesota, get that job done, and you will experience plushness, better traction, and increased bottoming resistance as well. Now I'll open the floor to Chris Riesenberg to give us our Race Tech rapid recap.
That's right. We're going to go back into Daytona to the Super Speedway. Denny, maybe your favorite race of the year. Always entertaining, grueling, challenging, and a unique Supercross. And the king of Daytona, man, here we go. Tomac is a star for Yamaha inside the oval at Daytona. After struggling and appearing off the pace all day, collects the 7th Daytona win. Brad, what do you think about the king of Daytona?
He absolutely is the Daytona. He ties, I believe it was Richard Petty, for the most amount of wins at that facility, period. Extremely dominant. Like the guy, he always puts himself in a position to take the lead there. He rides so well there. And honestly, I think it was maybe even shales of Dale Sr. when he is just the absolute intimidator hanging out behind Cooper Webb. He's able to take the lead at will and ends up racing off with the win. Love it.
Yeah, definitely cool to see, and a great race there. And then in the 250 class, can't hunt the hunter. Lawrence snipes the competition. Never really challenged after dropping Thrasher in the sand en route to his 3rd win of the series. Debo, what did you think of Hunter Lawrence at Daytona?
Hunter fucking Lawrence. Well, I'm a big fan of Hunter, and I'm also a big fan of putting guys in the dirt. And he actually put Thrasher down real quick. I was very surprised by it. I jumped out of the couch because I've been a fan of Thrasher as well. I was actually looking for a really good competitive race between the two, and Hunter decided to end that about 2 corners in. It wasn't really nothing dirty. He just dove to the inside of the sand, I think Thrasher kind of pivoted a little sooner than Hunter expected. But I loved Hunter's explanation. He's like, you know what? I didn't really want to eat much sand. There was a lot of sand in that corner, so I just thought I'd go a little under him, and the contact happened, and off Hunter went. And Thrasher, rode great, came from the back of the pack. But it's the 2 to East is Hunter's world, and they're all living in it right now.
Yeah, race smarter, not harder, I guess. Danger Boy puts teammates on high alert. 4 races into his Supercross career, he leads his team in points and found himself on the podium. Debo, what about him? I don't know if you can call him a Nebraskan, but I bet you would like to.
Well, we'll take credit where credit's due. There's only a couple of us out there, and he's, as long as he's Brian's son, there's some Nebraska blood in there somewhere. Born and raised, we grew up together. Obviously, Brian and I did. Hayden is doing everything right. He is not. He's putting together smart rides, consistent rides. We talked about his opening practice day at the Supercross. I forget which round it was, but how kind of erratic he looked. He obviously didn't look great at the futures. It's just gotten better and better. He's getting more confident. I think he's getting getting stronger on the bike. And Daytona was a son of a bitch. I don't think any of us thought he would be the one to hit a podium, and he is now the leader in points in the Star Truck between Thrasher and Jordan Smith, which we've joked about in the past. If you can't be the points leader, you better be the points leader in the semi. And those are 2 great riders to be leading and be third in points. The kid just keeps building, man. It's quite impressive. It's been a fun ride to watch so far.
And I guess if you just noticed the long-awaited and very late appearance of VerbMoto CEO Troy Dog has joined the building with us. We're stoked to have a special guest. Welcome, Troy. You got to unmute your microphone, though.
Man, like somebody who whined about all week to try and get on the show, he fucking shows up 10 minutes late. Man, no wonder he gets paid minimum wage at Verb.
I didn't mute myself, though. The host just unmuted me, so I feel like it's not my fault.
Not your fault that you were muted, or not your fault that you're super late?
Well, you have to show up. You have to show up fashionably late. You have to. I got meetings and stuff.
Well, welcome to the show at Tro Dog. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. It's you are the first official guest on the show. So welcome.
Well, I'm honored.
I couldn't find my T-shirt, but I have my sticker. So
Denny, look.
Oh man, you outdid me on that one. Nice work.
There's so much love in this room right now.
Yeah,
Troy Dog's shirt might be laying beside a Porta-John at Loretta's where he took his sister.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Back to the Race Tech Rapid recap. Cooper Webb hangs tough. Webb gets 6th Daytona podium in a row. He still hasn't won, but he's never been off the podium in Daytona, and he's only raced there on a 450, surprisingly enough. Troy Dog, we're going to break you in. What did you think of Cooper Webb at Daytona, hanging tough right there with Tomac?
For a minute there, I thought he was going to get him. It was pretty close throughout the whole thing, and you know how he is towards the end of the races. So I thought if this was any other race, I feel like he could have just got him, but it's Daytona, so you're not going to get Tomac there, especially when he's going for his 7th win and passing Ricky on the all-time list. So any other time, maybe Coop could have got him, but not at Daytona.
Absolutely. And then we had a 450 debut of RJ Hampshire. Former baseball pitcher Hampshire comes out swinging, lands a dinger instead of ringing his dinger in Daytona. Hampshire beats his Husky teammate in his 450 debut. Denny, Christian Craig, he's been held back by that motorcycle. It's just what's holding him back. But a dude who spends a week on it all of a sudden can beat him. What the heck, Denny? What's going on, huh?
Well, I think the biggest thing to take from this is obviously my Christian Craig expectations been a little high. I've tapered them back significantly. But RJ rode great, and I think this is just further proof that some of these teams get their head out of their ass and realize that there's some great talent on a 250 bike. And unlike your theory that we've argued about, you don't need a 250 Supercross title to graduate onto the big bikes. You can get on a big bike and ride well. But again, we've seen some very great debuts on a 450. We've seen Jason Lawrence, we've seen Jeremy Martin, who yet never ever got 450 rides. So we know that RJ's gonna be riding a 450 this coming weekend in Indy, completely different type of track. So I'm pumped for Ricky James. I'm really happy for him. He's busted his ass. And the greatest thing is he did not use that front end as a broom. He went out there and rode solid and put in a great race and stayed off the ground. So maybe it's smart to get on that big bike. Maybe that's where he's going to excel.
Should we make a bet about Indy? I think that I'm going to take RJ Hampshire. You want to take that bet that he beats him again?
Craig and Hampshire again?
Yeah,
I'll take it. Definitely. Yeah. I mean,
mark that one down, will you, Brad?
Yeah.
We're not even at the versus questions yet. You guys are jumping the gate on me, but yeah, I can definitely put that on the board bet. That Debo owes Checkers like $15 already, and the show's 5 minutes old.
No, we're not doing $15. I'm going to make him wear a hat that says Craig is my daddy.
We're going to leave that one off. We're really going to reach that
one. All right, let's back to it. Top 10 finishers cross the finish line and are finished. Jay Coop and Hymas never miss a top 10 in their rookie debuts, and they pull in for a pit stop halfway through the season. Danny, go ahead, just sound off on this one.
I'm personally just blown away. I mean, we're in a generation of sport right now, and a season where teams are pulling the riders off the track for doing well. I don't understand Chance Hymas's purpose at all. I mean, he won the futures last year, did his job, had some decent outdoor finishes, and then now they pull him off the track after running top 10 at every round and getting better each round. I cannot fathom what Lars Lindstrom is thinking. I can't think what Honda's thinking. I would personally, if this was myself, and I could see my dad and I, if they pulled us off the track after this, probably losing our job, probably getting fired. Yeah, and looking for a new ride for next year. And I think Chance could find a ride somewhere. So I don't understand at all. I don't know if they're worried about expenses or whatever, trying to save him for outdoors. And Justin Cooper, he wants to win a 250 outdoor title, and maybe he feels like there's an injury prone, but I'm an old man yelling at kids, get off my lawn. We raced, man. And if there's a chance to race, you fucking ride.
Yeah.
Troy Dog, weigh in on that one for me.
Breaking a pit board over a mechanic or a team manager's head if they told you weren't racing.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about that one there, Troy Dog?
Just about like guys getting pulled off, or
yeah.
It's kind of like the NBA these days. I'd like the guys
load management.
Yeah. And like back in the day, they didn't do that at all. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with I don't even want to say the new generation, because I feel like I'm not that old, but like I don't understand it. Like, why, if you're paid to race, like race. If you're paid to play a basketball game, play a basketball game. Like, you're there to do a job. Like, we can't just be like, hey, I don't want to go, write this article this week, or I don't want to go do my job. So, you have to work. So just get out there and do your job.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's the riders' problem. Obviously, it's not. I don't think they want to stop. I guarantee Chance Hymas does not want to sit home on a Saturday and go ride during the week without a race ahead of him. That is clearly the team's orders with Chance. Obviously, Stard said the same thing with Cooper, or maybe Justin's more focused on the outdoor title and his upcoming wedding. Who knows? We'll see. Because I'm a little disappointed not to see those guys out there, because they were doing really well. And I don't know. I've never seen it before. Run top 10 and we're going to go take a break till outdoors. Are we going to start having outdoor only guys? Who knows, man? Crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely pretty insane. I saw on social media this week, Chad Reed calling out on the Shimoda thing, like 6 weeks for a collarbone. And then what is he going to be in there? 6 weeks of practicing before you show up and race? Like, it's a different way to look at things of not racing unless you're 100%. And I mean, I'm going to argue the other side of that a little bit, but I don't believe it is. You come back injured and you stay injured or ding your confidence, but at some point you just need to show up and race, and you need to quit being a mental midget, I guess, is kind of where I'm at with it. But we can move on and not beat that dead horse. It'll also be a bummer to miss Joey Savacci now for the rest of the season as well. And
I think that goes a lot to Ware wanting to win a World Supercross title. I think that for them as a team is more important. Joey's obviously busted his ass. He got a little banged up. So I can understand their focus being more on a grander scale of things, because that is going to, Joey running 8th probably doesn't do as much for the team as him possibly winning a World Supercross title. What do you think, Brad?
Well, honestly, like it bums the hell out of me to see these guys not be racing during these series, and I don't think it serves them at all. Ultimately, like, you got to put in the laps, you got to get the experience. And in the case of a guy like Justin Cooper, in a pressure-free environment, getting as many gate drops in the 450 class as possible can only help in the fact that he's also going to be riding and racing, or not racing, but like riding at a like at least 90% clip throughout the week makes no sense to me.
Yeah. And he's done great. Hats off to Justin Cooper and his 450 Supercross career.
Hell yeah.
He's done phenomenal. And I've been impressed. And I think a lot of people are impressed by it. And maybe that's another reason Star wants to pull him off the track so he doesn't get more offers from other teams next season on a 450.
Yeah, they have to be working on signing him up, I would think, for sure. But he did a really, really good job of managing his 450 rookie season, which a lot of guys struggle with as far as just being consistent and keeping it on two wheels. And I mean, being in the top 10 every single weekend is really dang impressive. And there was some depth to the field. I mean, it started to thin out now, and it's thinning out more because those guys leaving, but it was pretty good. Hey, Brad, is it time to give Troy a surprise?
That's what I'm here for. I was just like, well, I'm kind of thrown into this. I'm like, where's my award? You know?
It is officially time. I've been waiting for this. I'm excited about this. If no one can tell, but my tail is absolutely wagging. It is time to do a segment with Troy Dog. We're not going to have him for the full show. He's a very busy man, so we're happy to have him for a very short period of time. But yeah, I know this is near and dear to your heart. Checkers, I know you were tearing up a little bit putting together your speech, and I give you the floor now to present this.
Well, all awards need to be earned. And since you're the CEO of verbmoto.com, which I don't think it's disputed at all that you guys are the kings of amateur motocross media, and you guys know everything amateur. So I figured it was a good chance for you to do a little bit of trivia with Troy Dog, powered by Verb Moto and Pineapple.
Hey.
And we're going to go through here, and I put together some great stats from Loretta Lynn's, the biggest amateur race in the world. Okay. And you should know all the answers to these questions, I think. And if you can get them all right, then you're going to get an Air Wheelie sticker, because I know you really want one of those.
Yes. Yeah, I need one.
Probably get a Race Tech hat. We could probably do that. Okay, and maybe Brad will even send you some stickers too. And I even have, hang on one second.
He wasn't ready for the prize situation. And a case of Twisted Tea.
That's what I want.
That's it right there. I'll also give you the rest of this pack of gum.
Okay,
but you have to get all these questions right. So, Brad, I'm going to go ahead and ask the first one, and then you can go from there.
I have $5 left on a Starbucks card.
You're lying about that.
What current pro rider has raced in 17 classes at Loretta Lynn's, finished in the top 10 overall 8 times, but has 0 top 5 overall finishes?
Jeff Frizz. I don't know. Like, okay, first of all, we're the king of all media.
But,
we're king of amateur, we're king of pro, we're king of, world championship, world supercross. Don't do that.
This is a double whammy, though, because this is also the leader of the frickin' Pineapple Squad, Grant Harlan. You don't even know your own riders, Troy.
17 classes. What?
Yeah, because a couple a year.
Oh, okay. So you're doing the. Okay,
that's his total finishes at Loretta's.
Okay, so you're doing. I see what you said, like 17 years. That's what I thought you said.
Okay, so we're gonna throw that one out. If you get the rest of them right, you're still eligible.
Are all these answers Grant Harlan?
They are not. All right, moving on to question number 2. What current pro rider also has 17 classes raced in Loretta's? This rider has 7 championships, has finished outside the top 10 overall 6 times, and has podiumed overall at Loretta's 3 different brands of motorcycle. Who are we talking about?
Can I phone a friend or have a lifeline?
Do you have any friends to call?
Okay,
I'm sure Wes knows.
I'm gonna call my buddy Wes Williams right now. Is that cool?
Yes.
Feel free.
Okay. He's gonna put me to voicemail, but let me see. Hold on. He would know this.
He better not put the CEO to voicemail. Did you see the jersey that's behind Troy too?
Yeah.
One Grant Harlan.
It's time.
Yeah, Grant should be crushed by this. Yeah.
It's got a super awesome message on it if you can read it.
17 different classes though. That's a good stat. I wonder who wrote the most classes there.
He's had top 5s. What are you talking about?
Not overall. Not at Loretta's.
But he in motos. Yeah.
I think there was only like one in motos. Actually, I did go through and look.
His
I
last
dug
year,
deep into the stats for these, but it also goes to show as we're going through these that amateur results really don't matter when it goes to pro ranks. I guess we're seeing that a little bit with like Caden Braswell right now. I mean, he's got a long career ahead of him and stuff, but he's struggling making main events right now in a not extremely deep East Coast.
He certainly is. And the Jeopardy music has already run out on question number 2. The answer was Hayden Deegan. Has 7 championships, has been outside the top 10 only 6 times, and has won titles on 3 different brands. That was Hayden Deegan. Moving on to question number 3. Which current pro motocross or supercross racer has 12 overall podium finishes after racing 21 classes at Loretta's, over 60%, 66% of the time, finishing inside the top 5 overall in his class, but only has 1 championship? Who are we talking about?
I think I know this answer.
yeah, do it.
I'm going with Eli Tomac.
No, Tomac has multiple
No.
wins at Loretta's.
Yeah. So
You cannot phone a friend, but you can get out a mirror and look behind you.
I'm talking about
Kyle Chisholm. So we got one question right. He's well on his way. Okay,
My
so this is
lifeline.
not a current rider.
Hang on. My lifeline has said okay, so I can use him, right?
You might need it
Okay.
for this next one.
You might need this for this next one.
Okay.
What rider not currently racing has finished top 10 in 13 of his 15 different classes that he raced at Loretta Lynn's, has 3 championships, and he's Mr. 8 top 5s himself? Who are we talking about?
Danny, how many Loretta's championships you got?
me.
Yeah.
I have 2,
Okay. So that.
not me.
Okay. I got 3. Anyways,
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna phone my friend here. A special
Actually, I
appearance.
do have 3. I just
With a special appearance. Can you hear him?
What up, big doggy?
What's
Yes,
up,
we can.
dude? Hey, you're live on a YouTube show right now.
Oh, they finally let you on?
They let me on. Yeah, and I'm supposed to get an award for this, so it's really cool. They asked me Loretta's questions, and you've watched every Loretta's moto since 1982, so
Which means my memory could be foggy for a multitude of reasons, but yeah, I'll try my best.
okay. All right, Brad.
Should we ask him the Loretta or
Yeah.
the second question again?
Can you hear them?
Yep, I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Wes Williams. First of all, I hope you liked my race report from about an hour ago. Secondly, what current pro racer has raced in 17 classes, has 7 championships, has finished outside the top 10 only 6 times, and podiumed at Loretta's on 3 different brands?
The 3 different brands got me.
Anderson?
Hayden Deegan.
Oh, wow.
That one Cobra one throws everybody off, I think.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
yeah,
Last question.
Jason doesn't
Last
have-
question. Wes, since you're with us, you can help Troy Dog with the last question. If you guys get it right, then he does get all of the awards that are coming to him. We can probably be talked into giving him to the awards regardless if he get it right or not.
He gets awards.
We'll see. Okay. Well, the pressure's on now.
Yes. What current rider has more top 10 finishes this season than his entire Loretta Lynn's career? His best finish at Loretta Lynn's was a 6th place finish. His best Loretta's result, and only one rider who beat him racing professionally anywhere. However, he beat a former 250 SX champion, multi-time 250 SX winner, and rider in the top. This was extremely.
Let me read this one
written
for you,
extremely
Brad.
bad.
I got
Matt,
you.
Alex Trebek just fired your ass.
Yeah. No,
It is-
that's on Checkers because he didn't write this like a person.
In his best Loretta Lynn's result, Only one rider who beat him is still racing professionally. However, he did beat a former 250 Supercross champion, a multi 250 Supercross race winner, and a rider with top fives already this season that were behind him. And his best result was 6th place.
At Loretta Lynn's.
At Loretta Lynn's, he has more top 10s this season than he's ever had at Loretta's.
And his best finish is 6th this season.
No, best finish at Loretta's was 6th.
Okay.
The best finish at Loretta's was the 6th.
Yeah.
Correct.
And he's had more top 10s this season.
Yes.
Grant Harlan?
No.
He was.
Would you like to take a guess, Troy?
Anstey? No.
No.
This was a 6th. Hard dog didn't get at Loretta's, man. Oh,
What class we talking? At least give me another hint.
yeah.
250.
Like at Loretta's.
250B.
Okay.
No, what current is the current
He's a
race
250
right now?
rider currently. 250.
He's a
Supercross
250
rider.
West rider.
And his best finish was 250B in 6th.
What year?
Yeah. It's,
Give me hints. Come on.
it's impossible.
You know, you guys used to run these on Verb all the time about looking at people's Loretta's results and trying to guess them.
Yeah, so I was not the one that made these. I actually do play Brad on his freaking stories, and I feel like I do good sometimes, but then other times I do terrible. So, but at least I have like multiple choice.
Yeah.
With this, it's hard.
His initials are DK.
Derek Kelly.
Derek Kelly. Wow.
Ding 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 ding.
Wow.
At least you know one of your riders after we give you pretty much everything
All
about him.
Right.
Place.
Yeah.
Wow.
At Loretta's.
Yeah,
That's
not an
cool.
amateur killer, but killing it this year.
This year, that's great.
I know. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, one answer was Grant Harlan. One answer was Derek Kelly. So,
I mean, I was thinking that Grant could have gotten 6 at Loretta's. That's all I was thinking.
so I get the trophy.
I thought there was going to be a Justin Starling question.
You can't read it that says you're the best.
Wes, I got a trophy though. That's all that matters. Like they give it.
Nice. You still got it, even though we didn't get it, huh?
No, we got it. It's actually a trophy for best CEO ever. So,
Oh, good job, dude. I mean, you are, man. Thank you so much for everything you do.
hey, no problem, Wes. Anytime. I appreciate all the hard work that you do. You know.
Crane and I are sitting down right now to freaking edit a bunch of freaking freestyle videos. So I have like 14 layers of dirt on me.
Yes.
And, I filled up a Starbucks coffee from this morning with the hotel coffee, so I'm set.
Did you get a
It looked-
PBJ?
It looked cold there today, Wes.
I didn't buy PBJ today. We bought turkey and bread and mayonnaise. I almost got PBJ, but then I decided that then we would have to buy like plastic knives and everything to like do that, and then like napkins.
Yeah.
And I
So,
was like,
yeah.
I felt going turkey and mayonnaise and bread was the easiest route.
It's kind of not in the budget, but we'll make it work. You know.
I mean, hey man, you
Yeah.
gave me.
Okay, Wes, he made up for it by buying the cheapest on-sale waters.
Oh, okay. We're good then.
I mean, what are we supposed to do, Troy? You gave us $35 to live for the week.
I know. I'll dip into my funds. I'll get you some more wired over. So we're good.
Hey man, I appreciate that. Thank you.
What's up, Crane?
What's happening, Troy Dog?
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
I'm glad they finally let you on the show, dude.
I know, this is crazy.
I knew that was really stressing you out
Yeah.
last time you were barking orders at us.
I know. And Denny's wearing my sticker too, and it's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
So yeah,
Thanks, Checkers and Brad, for letting Troy be part of your world. He needed that.
I did.
Keep up the good work down there at Grassroots Verb Moto amateur coverage, and make sure that race tick ads run real good on Verb.
Stay warm, boys. It looked cold there today.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Sorry we couldn't help. That was a terrible lifeline. You did not win $1 million.
No, I won my trophy. That's all that matters, bro.
Perfect. All right, man.
All right, dudes.
We'll talk to you later on.
Thanks.
Yeah.
See you. There you
And
have
just
it.
like most podcast trivia games, that was an absolute disaster. By the way, I don't know if we ever revealed to you the answer of question number 4 was Denny Stevenson.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot I had that third title. Yeah.
I
Suck
forgot I
it
won
in so
that
much.
third title. I have one plus 25B title that I won't shut up about, and you're forgetting titles? Fuck you, Denny.
So I was right. I was right.
It shows how
Yes.
shows how relevant it was in my world. But no, I love Loretta. So good trivia, always a good time. And yeah, that last year I won 2 in the schoolboy classes 1 year, and then my last year there in '88, I beat I think Larocco and Kajowski for the TUT pro title. So that was a good one to turn pro on. But back in '88, hell, I ran Supercross and Nationals too. So it was a different world back then.
No big deal. Just beating Kajowski and Larocco. No problem.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah. Larocco just going on to become the rider who accumulated the most amount of points ever in AMA motocross history and still technically reigning 500 national champion.
He's a badass. He was definitely a badass. So I think when we turned pro in '88, '89, that I think we changed the curve of the sport at that time. So well done, Larocco. Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right, Troy Dog. So that's all we had for you. You can hang out a little bit longer if you'd like, chime in on a few things, or we can cut you loose.
It's kind of bedtime, but yeah, I appreciate the time. I don't, I appreciate the award. I hope it gets, sent here on time. It's kind of important to put it on my mantle.
Priority post, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I will. If you let me, maybe a couple weeks, come on again, try again, do some more trivia. Another trophy.
Okay.
You better do your homework.
I think we need to do a Troy Dog versus Denny trivia.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he
definitely not Loretta's though. Any other sport I can do, but maybe hockey.
Basketball.
I don't know. If
you guys do not want to face me in hockey.
There's been 8 million riders through Loretta Lynn's, and you expect me to pinpoint just like 4 riders.
They were your guys.
Yeah, and I got them. I got them. They're my guys.
Yep.
They were your riders. Yeah, that's ironic thing at all. They were literally handed it on a silver platter. I never even considered that. But yeah, you should have noticed the tone it was going to theme.
I didn't even know.
I'm sending you some of these BigMX Radio stickers. And then also anyone who's in the comments right now who would like some, let me know, and I will also mail you guys some stickers. So I got way too fucking many of them.
Once I figure out how to mail to Canada, I'll get some of those.
Money. Yeah. Troy Dog's racing a 252 stroke up here in Canada, full season. You heard it here first. Troy Dog, appreciate the time, man.
All right, dudes. Thanks for having me. Good talking to you guys. And well, you aren't going to be in Indy, but I will be. So that's my next step. I'm going to Indy. So
have a great weekend, brother. Good time.
Pack light.
Guys. See you.
Cheers.
We're going to Indy too.
Who's going to Indy?
This podcast show right now.
Oh, we're going live.
We're going next up.
I loved Indy, man. We used to go there all the time, obviously for the trade show with when I was at Smith, and I think I ate like a king for a week, taking out all the parts reps, and St. Elmo's, and it was just unbelievable. The food's great. Indy's a great city, a lot of fun. Yeah, it's gonna be a great weekend. So if you're going, enjoy yourself. I'll be.
Denny, do you recall your best finish at Indy?
I don't, but I'm looking at our stats here, and I see I got a 12th, which is ironically in '96, which I was basically just out kind of riding around in '96 with my Great Western team, and I already had a bad thumb. I was just kind of going through the motions. So if that was my best year, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, they didn't race there back when you won the title. And they came onto the series with the RCA Dome in 1992. And yeah, you had some like 18th, 19th. And then, when you're least expected, pulled a 12th out of your ass.
Yeah. But one of the first times I ever raced, pro race was, remember those old Mickey Thompson ultra crosses?
Right.
Was up in Indy. We ran the car tracks backwards. And it was up there in Indy. I did battle with Jim Holly and the Bolin brothers and all that shit. And that I remember going up there with my dad. It was cold as shit. But yeah, Indy's a great time. A lot of years up there.
Absolutely. So next up, presented by BigMXRadio.com. Brand new podcast coming out every week. Tomorrow, we have a brand new podcast with none other than Jared Lesher, the two-stroke smoking guy himself, brought to you by FMF. He is a great conversation with him. 40 minutes long of him and I just going through all the trials and tribulations of being a Supercross privateer. Already mentioned that Denny Stevenson's best finish ever in Indianapolis was the RCA Dome. I'm sure he probably did a little bit better at one of those Mickey Thompson events, but that might not have been as deep of a field. Those are actually very interesting events, and maybe at one point we need to kind of dive into what that's all about. But we're 35 minutes into the show and running behind schedule. We are late, very late for a very important date, and that is breaking down the entire Supercross coming up. We first raced here at the RCA Dome back in 1992. We raced there until 2008, the same place where I believe it was Trey Kennard picking up his second Supercross win ever in the 250 class right after his first race, where he was able to win the first 3 Supercross races he ever raced en route to his championship in his rookie season in 2008. 2009, we switched things over to where we are currently at, where we had a residence in 2021, where Ken Roxon, this feels like a lot more than 2 years ago. Ken Roxon got 1, not 2, but 3 wins in a row. The span of 8 days, he won 3 Supercrosses back to back to back, sweeping those 3 rounds. That feels like a long time ago for a lot of Ken Roxon fans. It's like Denny, like how long ago does that feel that Ken Roxon won those 3 races?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one thing I've always said, or Rick Johnson told me back years ago, told my dad and I, celebrate every win like it's your last, because it could very well be your last. You never know what's going to happen. So remembering Ken sweeping Indy was, it seems like a while back, as we have now, as we ride with him to his Suzuki years once again. So, which I don't think we'll see a win on that yellow bike, but you never know. It is Supercross.
Not even close. I would be surprised if he's in the top 5. Personally, he's 5th in points, but I don't think he's been the 5th best guy this year, not by any stretch. This is a basic 5-lane track layout, pretty cookie cutter by all accounts. If you understand how the entrance works as far as loading bikes in and out for Indy goes, they pretty much always have this sort of start where it goes across the 3 lanes or 4 lanes and then hooks a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn rather. There's one long set of whoops about 20 yards long. That should give some guys some problems, especially given the fact that Indy is a track that often breaks down. I don't know if that's always still the case. We've certainly had some that are pretty hard pack. I feel like that's a narrative that's been carried forward since like 2000 or 1996. That just, it never really gets shook just because that's sort of what it was known for. And even though sometimes it's not that way, this track sort of gets labeled that way. But again, we have a very short start. And just on track layout alone, I feel like I need to toss this ball over to Checkers, who is kind of like, if I look closely, you can actually see some steam coming out of his ears.
I definitely wasn't paying attention to anything you were saying. I was looking for some reference for Indy to see how wet it was. I saw Corey from Dirtworks had posted some stuff and it looked really, really soft from the loader ruts. So I was actually looking for that. Okay. So I have a good excuse at least.
It's a similar track that we had at Tampa. I think, you know, the start is short. There's a big end of the stadium. About a third of the stadium is used up by that. The lanes are a little bit shorter. I thought Tampa was a great track. Checkers obviously hated it. So what do you think of this similar track? Do you think it'll break down the same? What
do you think about that on-off section at the 2 ends of the track are exactly the same. It's a left-hand turn into step on, step off, and then a 90.
Well, there's a couple things about those.
I see nothing going on there.
To make them work, 90-degree turns typically suck. If they roll it out on the inside to where you can't get onto the tables, and then you have to go off the front of the table when they make it steep, it can push guys to have to use the outside, which leaves the door open potentially for passing. So hopefully they do something like that. The one big difference from Tampa is they turn before the start straight and the start's not angled as much. So they get that extra 180 bull turn with a section in and out of the corner, which I think should help the racing a little bit, because the hard part with the Tampa thing, the 180 bull is nice, but when you're going in and out on a straightaway, that, you know, you're able to cut the inside to not let the guy block past you coming in, and you don't have to carry the speed coming out into an obstacle like to triple into a section. So you can stay super low in the bull turn, and it just really eliminates passing in those situations. So hopefully we'll see the breakdown. I mean, I think it's got to be something you look at is if it's soft, it's going to be a Cooper Webb type track, because they're going to be moving down those berms as the ruts start to form up. And, you know, Tomac's obviously good as the tracks break down. And the big question mark becomes Chase Sexton, your third title contender. Can he adapt to the changing track conditions? Because that has been his problem time after time after time, is late in these races, he's not able to find new lines as well as the other guys and adapt.
Certainly, that's been something that's bit him in the past. And this time last year, he found himself on the outside looking in of the top three, although he's been basically pretty much solidified in that top three spot for the majority of this season so far. So last year's results, you had Tomac followed by Barsha, which if he got a second this weekend would be his season best. Marvin Muscan rounded out the podium, followed by Sexton and Webb. So you had your usual suspects up front, and I expect more of the same to this weekend. And just as a note, if you're wondering if RJ Hampshire goes well, maybe if you're alive in Supercross Survivor and you're looking for somebody to elongate your ability to stay in that game, he's had some success in the past. Not saying that it's going to totally translate to him keeping on two wheels this weekend, but RJ Hampshire does have a podium in the 250 class just this last year. All right, now on to our next segment, brought to you by MXD360.com, the website where by signing up, $12, all it is to sign up for an awesome fantasy game. And for that $12, you are also signed up to win the King's gear. The King, of course, is the King of Supercross, Jeremy McGrath. Number two in your program, probably number one in your hearts, especially if you watch Supercross and motocross in the 90s. He was overly dominant and an absolute superstar, put motocross and Supercross on the map. You can win a set of gear right off of his back, and obviously it's going to be a brand new set of gear from TLD. I wouldn't imagine anyone would put it on and go ride with it, but it's going to look great in your rec room as long as your wife lets you put up on the wall. All right, so we got some rapid fire questions. Checkers, are you ready?
Absolutely ready. I'm also ready for the Moto X Dream MXGP series that's kicking off this weekend on Sunday, and it's free, FREEE to play. I'm not very good at knowing a lot about the GPs, but I do watch them all. And I'll play though, and I'll still beat Denny.
Their television package is actually quite inexpensive as well. I was surprised to see that it's only for Canadians, it's only $156, and I believe that translates to $113 US. So just around $6 per event, and you can watch that thing go down. And for those who are also curious about this weekend, as far as you don't know what time zone Argentina is on, they are actually on Central Time. So that race will go on no different than your average Supercross. So if you don't want to watch race day live, if you don't want to completely waste your time with race day live, you can watch those races, and they'll probably be pretty entertaining on the Saturday. All right, so Checkers, Indianapolis always reminds me of the now debunked Indy Trade Show. Any stories from that? I know you probably attended either with one of your former job with Rainbow Studios, or with your current job over with Race Tech, or did you ever go to the Indy Supercross and end up celebrating with Denny Stevenson, even if he didn't win?
Well, I've actually met my good buddy Devin Raper at Indianapolis. It happened to be Gilmore's and his birthday weekend, and
Gilly.
So we went out on the town, and that was a great time. But there's really nothing super exciting or fun from that story that to share. But I do have an Indy Trade Show one that I might turn a little red because it's pretty embarrassing. But I just started at Race Tech maybe a year into it, and we traveled there, and I'm actually stayed in a hotel room with the owner of the company. And after being at the show all day and standing at a booth, talking, and they're not really all that entertaining to work a booth at when you're stuck in your booth and can't wander. But it was the Dallas Supercross in, I believe it was 2009, when Reed had passed Villapoto and was going on a run, and when he cartwheeled over the bars and broke his leg. But we had all gathered. The now defunct Trans World Motocross had everybody out with a open bar tab and watching Supercross, and I was in heaven because this was fairly new to me, and I was fairly young, and clearly was young and dumb because I took full advantage of the open bar, and I didn't realize that. Beware, folks, if you're going to Indianapolis, bars don't close at 2:00 in the morning. So it's about 1:55, and I'm like, oh crap, it's going to be last call. And I grab a couple of my buddies, and we go up to the bar, and I'm like, we need 6 shots of Jaeger, and 2 for each of us because it's last call, because it's a great idea. Well, we get the shots, and one of my buddies says, I'm not going to take them. My other buddy, that Tony Wink, that you might know, Denny, that used to own a racetrack down in Iowa, goes, all right, well, we'll do them all. So we go 1, we go 2, we go 3, and then, well, it's not closing time yet, so we hang out for a little and then order a drink and hang out for a while. I get back, and I wake up the next morning and I'm not feeling good at all. Before I take my shower, I visit the Porcelain God real quick, and then I come out and I get ready and get to the show, and Paul, the owner, looks at me. I was on time because that was the one thing I never would do, is be late. And he goes, "Did you have a good time last night?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." He's like, "Man, what were you drinking? It must have been super sweet," because he could smell the Red Bull coming off me. But yeah, it was a great first impression, I guess. That was the first time we had stayed together. So beware, if you're going to Indianapolis, bars close at 4 a.m. and not at 2 a.m. in Indianapolis.
And there's a White Castle there, and that's and a Red Garter. The White Castle was always a great place to visit about 3 a.m. Yeah. And I think if anyone's ever done the Indy Trade Show, they have felt that exact pain, Checkers. So you do not stand alone, brother.
Absolutely. So that was not rapid fire. Sorry.
That is totally fine. We allow it every once in a while. Pretty loose rules here on the pregame show. Debo, might be an easy, hard question for you to answer. You might not even have an answer for it, period, because of the state of the situation right now. But who has the best team look for 2023? Of course, Mitch Payton and his peak team came out in 1992 with a basically like revolutionary look that basically had all his riders in the same look. Very like Team Tam did the same thing years prior, but they also didn't pay anyone. But like since then, we've had many teams come out with a very unified look, and today we have multiple teams that do so. So who in 2023 has the best team look, whether it's Star, PC, Husqvarna, or Gas, or one of the other privateer teams that come dressed to impress?
Well, I think it's something we discussed even on our text thread that, the peak was incredible back in the day. 1991, I believe, was the year I moved up to 250, and Budman has shifted over to his peak, and those bikes were phenomenal. Mitch really took control of that whole scene, and he did the same with Cowie when they were doing the chrome bikes, with Troy Lee doing a lot of the artwork for them. But right now, I really like, Troy Lee is an incredible artist. He the master back in the 90s. If you get a Troy Lee painted helmet, you had arrived. And I think he does a great job. I think the gas bikes look phenomenal each and every week. They have the unique sponsorships. The gear looks solid. But even look at Alpine Star. They don't really sponsor a full team, but I think that they have a very unique look each and every week. And I love good style, and we all do. And unfortunately, I didn't have to wear that tight gear that they wear today. I mean, I was only probably 130 pounds. I probably could have got away with it, but gears, it's changed over the years. I don't think Barsh's butts ever looked so big in a pair of pants as he does in those Troy Lee's sometime. But I really dig the gas look, and
it's his butt that looks big.
Yeah, that Adidas seat that they've had from over the years. I'm digging those gas bikes this year, and the look overall. I haven't really dug what Fox has been kind of putting out so much this year. It's been a little different, a little bit more plain, but and Thor's actually look pretty good. I like that blue on the bikes. I just don't like the black Yamahas. Like the Yamaha's meant to be blue. They're putting too much black on them.
I don't love that. I think Star always gets a couple of points off for me not being more blue. I think you know what? And then for whatever reason, Pro Circuit is more Kawasaki than ever. If you look at their graphics, they're more green than ever. They used to do like all black side plates, and then for 1 year, I think they actually did like all green everything. I thought that looked really, really good, but I digress. I could just drool over the cosmetics of motocross all day long, but at one point you need to drop your lap times and go win some races. Checkers, what are your thoughts on select privateers who after the main event, they clearly do not have the fitness to go full race pace the entire main event?
It's super common when guys start to make their first main events because they put so much time and effort and energy into just making the main event. What you start to see is once they consistently are making the main events, they start to realize that's not the goal anymore, and better results are the goal, at least typically. Those are the guys that potentially could become a Weston Pike type story where they work themselves into getting a ride or can build their own program consistently. But I have no problem with it. I'm not one of the guys that throws a fit. If a guy is good enough to make the main event and that was their goal and they accomplish it and they go out and ride around and throw whips and they should be doing knack-knacks, I'm all good with it. I don't have a problem with it at all. If you want to further your career and try to get on a factory team, though, you need to be in shape and ready to deliver.
Certainly. Honestly, it wasn't super uncommon for especially guys who used to double class it to get into the main event and just sort of ride around and put more of their eggs in one basket or the other. And yeah, like the rate going full pace during a main event is no joke. What are your thoughts on that, Denny?
Well, we ran 20 laps, back in the day, 20 lap main events, and those are pretty gnarly. And these 20-minute plus one lap main events, I mean, they're putting what
sometimes they're 28 laps.
Yeah, it's gnarly. So I might take my hat off to them, and especially with the 450s, the way the tracks are breaking down and they're still launching, a rhythm section and 3 leaps. Hats off to these guys. They're Ironmen, and just getting a main event, like Checker said, great example of these guys. Some of these guys, that's what they train for. They train for the heat. They train for last chance qualifier. And then come the main event, they're like, holy fuck, 20 minutes is a long time. And these guys, the track's broken down. Again, I always like to be the old man yelling at the kid to get off my lawn, but these guys right now are some of the best athletes in the world again. And those main events, 20 minutes plus 1 lap, just surviving it. As we've seen the best riders struggle on these tracks when they start breaking down. So hats off.
Certainly.
All right. Just the stress too of, I go back to my Rallycross days, and when I first was making main events and stuff, just the stress to get through an LCQ or get a qualifying spot was mentally draining. So by the time I got to the line for the main event, I had no motivation or drive left. I was literally just completely drained. And those tracks are dangerous if you're not focused by any means. So I think, again, if you consistently start making mains, like we've seen with guys like Cade Clayson last year, he started making mains, and then all of a sudden the field was thinning too, but his results were getting better as he started to realize I'm more than just a main event guy. I'm a top 15 guy or stuff like that.
Yeah, got himself a top 10.
As Carmichael said during one of the broadcasts, and I think we've all said it, when people are watching the last chance qualifier, these are the best riders in your state. Like they would show up at a local and whoop your ass. And it just shows, and yet they're struggling on the Supercross track. And that just shows how fucking gnarly it is. I mean, these guys are the baddest of the bad. And and they are. There's a group of about 6 or 7 of them that I know when they're racing in a main event, I can sense that, they want to get a spot. And so they come around to lap them. And sometimes they're like, man, I'm the difference between if I slow down and let 2 guys pass, 2 guys lap me, I might lose that pack I was racing with. And so, and I've been in that place before when I was wrapping up 95, 96 and stuff, when you start getting lapped by, McGrath and guys like that. And you don't want to give up the spot, but sometimes it's like, whew, I could take a quick breath here and roll through this section or this corner. Again, baddest of the bad, man. These guys are fucking insane, and they're surviving week in, week out.
Denny, did you ever get lapped by McGrath on the last lap and like see him do a knack either in the air with you or right in front of you?
Nothing like the one we saw was that who's that buddy who did that at
Matt Burkeen
at Unadilla. Yeah. No, actually when Fro won St. Louis, he had lapped me like just that last corner, and I went over the finish line behind him. So I always joke that I'd gotten second that night behind Jeff.
I love that. All right. So Denny, did Justin Cooper do enough to be considered for top, like the 450 rookie of the year this season? Every single race he was in the top 10. Other 450 rookies include Colt Nichols and RJ Hampshire, because Christian Craig says he is not a rookie.
Well, if he was, he'd be getting beat by Justin Cooper right now, apparently. But I think that Cooper did great. But, he didn't ride a full 17 round season, and Colt's putting in the races. If Colt survives all 17 rounds, starts getting consistently in the top 10, I think Colt Nichols would be your obvious rookie of the year. Although Justin did great, nothing wrong with it. Hats off to him. But 17 rounds is a hell of a lot gnarlier than 5. And I think that's about what Justin's put in so far. So, that's pretty much my answer. Colt Nichols, rookie of the year.
You're wrong, because they're going to do it off of points, and it's wrong. The impression that Cooper left is much bigger than Nichols, unless Nichols starts to ride like he did at Anaheim 1 again.
Not Cooper West.
Yeah, he needs to get back to that big time. All right. Up next in a segment brought to you by airwheeliesonly.com. And yes, that is a real website. This is the Versus Challenge questions. Series total so far, we've got Denny Stevenson with 5 answers correct, which means he's often wrong. And then you have Checkers, who with 8 questions correct. A 1 point extension of his lead from last weekend. They tied it on a few where they actually agreed with each other, which actually made me sick to my stomach. Boys, we're going to jump straight into these. Are you guys ready? Put your gloves
Absolutely.
on. All right. So 2 idiots enter, only one prevails. Going right off the hop with our versus questions, we have Jason Anderson versus Justin Barcia. Who finishes better than who this weekend? Checkers, I'll let you go first.
Without a question, it's Jason Anderson. He's been fast all year. He hasn't gotten the results that he's wanted. He's going to turn it around. Plus, the track's going to get rough, rutted, and gnarly. And I flash back to the Oakland race when Roxon was trying to get his first win back with his broken arm. And Anderson, on the last lap, the track is just completely hammered, is pulling stuff out no matter what because he's comfortable being uncomfortable. Plus, there's going to be ruts in the corner. Barcia's going to be trying to go over the ruts and T-bone guys. Going to be in cross-rutted all over the place. I am out on Justin Barcia because Jason Anderson is going to stomp him in Indy.
Well, first of all, fuck Checkers trying to agree with me last week. He purposely agreed on 2 questions just to avoid being wrong. Where me, I'll just argue with the son of a bitch just to argue with him. So I don't really care about the win-loss record. As long as I get to argue with Checkers, it's a successful 5 minutes. Wow, Justin Barcia hauled ass last week. I mean, I think he caught a lot of us by surprise. He definitely caught Chase Sexton a couple times surprise, but he almost landed on him. I was really impressed. I think everyone was impressed that Justin's had a very solid, consistent year. He's put only a third of the people down. I think he does usually by this time in the past. And Anderson, I think if they get together, I think Barcia can take Anderson simply in the fact that Jason will be so worried about trying to knock Justin down, and Justin will be trying to chase Sexton down because I feel like now Sexton is now on Barcia's radar accidentally. But I'll go Justin Barcia. I have no problem with that. I think that he is right into his own a little bit each weekend, and Anderson's just kind of doing the same thing. So like you asked me about the good-looking bikes, I'm going gas, taking down that Monster Energy Kawasaki 51 over the 21 in Indy.
All right. Well, we'll make note of that, and I'm gonna basically just add a correct answer to Checkers' pile right now. Jordan Smith versus Jeremy Martin, battle of the veterans of the 250 East class. Who finishes better than who? Debo, I will let you go first.
Well, Checkers, I know he's just going to say Jordan's going to crash, which, let's be honest, about 75% of the time he's been right. I thought J-Mart would do a little bit better at Daytona. He seemed to be riding pretty reserved. He made a couple of mistakes.
He was very invisible.
Yeah, he got pulled away from when he was in a group of guys I thought he could run with. He made a couple of mistakes in corners. He looked good in that white gear, honestly, with that FXR white stuff, which I kind of forgot. Club's got a good look on their team as well with the white Yamahas a little bit. But back to that, I think that Jordan Smith, I think he just wants it right more in Supercross right now. I think he's a Supercross only guy with Star. I'm not 100% positive on that. I think J-Mart is going through the motions a little bit just to get through the season healthy, get some time on the bike, and then unload his fury in the outdoors. So I'm going Jordan Smith for Indy over the J-Mart.
I figured you would go that direction. And I think that J-Mart at Daytona just put too much pressure on himself because he was, he had these high expectations and he was all hyped up, and he was doing better at the beginning of the year when he was just riding and, going through the motions, happy to be there, making sure he's finishing the races so he can get to outdoors. I think he'll be back to that mode in Indianapolis, which will benefit on a track like that is so dang demanding. And yeah, you said it. I'm going to say exactly that. The track's always demanding and challenging in Indianapolis. Jordan Smith doesn't know where the limit is to slow down, and he's most likely going to end up finding the dirt because he makes mistakes every single time. It's just time and time again. It's a broken record. You know what you have with Jordan Smith. So give me Jeremy Martin for just being consistent and the little engine that could.
I like it, boys. The arguing it needs to heat up a little bit. I don't know if I can send some shot callers over to you guys to get you guys jazzed up for the weekend. But this might just do it. Ken Roxon versus Aaron Plessinger, 2 guys who honestly, they both need to improve their results this weekend. Which one of them is going to finish better than the other? Checkers, I'll let you take the floor first.
Oh, we're going to do it for Dale, baby. It's almost a hometown race for Aaron Plessinger. Let's go. He's going to be fired up. He's going to kill it. Coming out in opening ceremonies with his cowboy hat on, the crowd going nuts. It completely motivates him. He will be right at home in Indianapolis. And I mean, Ken Roxon, it's the second half of the season. We know what we're going to get there. I've seen it time and time again. And I mean, I have no other argument needed for that other than Aaron Plessinger is going to be fired up and Ken Roxon. It's the second half of the season.
I can't believe you're going to make me argue for Ken right now, but I will because I'm not a pussy like Checkers, and we'll just go, I'm just going to go with him. So fuck you again, Checkers. Ken Roxon on his worst day is usually better than Aaron Plessinger on his best day. I think we all can agree that even on a 2018 yellow sled that he's been racing this year. He's had one bad race that was significantly bad. He actually didn't ride that bad at Daytona. He's had some good practice times, had some good heat races. He hasn't quite put together a complete solid main. I would say just, the last couple of weeks. But I think Roxon, again, on his worst day, I think he is still better than Plessinger on his, not necessarily AP's best day, because he's been riding really well. And I am a Plessinger fan, so I don't want to insult him by just arguing about this for Checkers. But I got Kenny. I'll take Kenny in that bike. I'll take Kenny about 5th in Indy, and I'll have Plessinger about 7th. I'm going to even give you numbers this time.
It's good to be wrong.
All right, moving on to our next one. Overall for the series, so we're going to have to wait a little bit to be able to tabulate this one properly, but two guys who are not having the results that they want anyway. And for different reasons. Chris Bloss, because he's about my age, and he's about 35 years old, racing in the little bike class on a factory bike that he's only been on for, I guess, about 6 weeks now. He should be acclimated, but the reality is he did actually hang up the boots after Supercross last year, raced some World Supercross, got himself hurt at Paris Supercross, and now he's been back. And you have Chris Bloss versus Mosman for the rest of the season. Debo, I'll let you take this one. Honestly, I don't even know which way you're going to lean, because both these guys are honestly like Blows on a lesser extent, but neither one of these guys is happy about how their finishes have been so far.
Well, we've been first of all, Checkers told when we first got word, that Bloss was going to be riding that Pro Circuit Kawasaki. He texted on the thread verbatim, he will have multiple top fives throughout the year.
It's one top 5.
Multiple top 5s, he said. Multiple.
I've sent you the screenshot.
Multiple.
It's one.
And I write there,
Mr. 8 top 5s himself.
Multiple top 5s, he said Bloss will have. And he goes, I will bet anyone. And you know me and Checkers. So I said, I begged God the phone and said, again, fuck you, Checkers. I'll take that bet right now that he will not even have one top 5. It has nothing against Bloss, but his best days were top 5s. And all of a sudden he was going to clip up a switch, even though I felt he was in kind of retirement mode after a great off season and a great career, which he deserved. But Mosiman, wow, I think it's funny. I felt like we were kind of the first guys to jump on the Mosiman, where the hell you been bandwagon last 2 weeks on our show. And then after the show ended last week, I read somewhere, somebody tweeted about the fact that that Swap Moto had said that Mosiman had fractured his neck during the off season. And I'd said, oh, no, that makes sense. Because we had said, is he hiding an injury? What is going on? He's definitely not the same rider we came into the season.
Still downplay it though. Like Will Hahn was on a show earlier this week, and it's not like he was like giving a lot of like excuse for that injury. He's sort of just like, yeah, he had that, but he's clearly not where he wants to be.
But I heard that he had gotten hurt, and then it seems like the rest of Moto Media got word of Mosiman hasn't been living up to his hype for the last month, and all of a sudden decided, whether it be in Racer X, whether it be Pulp, whether it be, all of a sudden Ricky was talking about it, Blair was talking about it, and I'm all of a sudden now thinking, well, didn't I just read that he came out when he had a fractured neck? Yet none of the other media now is paying attention to that. Nonetheless, Mosiman, wow, he had a rough weekend at Daytona again. I thought we were going to see something good from him. He's definitely struggling on the bike. I'm not going for Blows because I know that's going to be Checkers' guy. Checkers can have him. I'm going Mosiman on that gas, good-looking bike. And he's about time to turn this shit around, because it's a good thing he's had a 2-year contract. Otherwise, he'd be looking for a ride at Bar X Suzuki or something.
Ooh. The fact that we're even debating this tells the story right there, though. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about Mosiman versus Bloss, who was legitimately retired. He was not planning on racing this year. He turned down a team to go racing this year because he was done. The only reason he's back is because it's an opportunity to ride a factory motorcycle that he got on a week before the season. So a dude that rode a factory bike for the first time a week before the season, who's never had a factory ride in his life, is battling with someone who we had as a title contender going into this, who also just completely matted himself in Daytona. The wheels are off the Mosiman wagon right now. And here's the one thing, Blos is going to continue to push through and continue to deliver. Daytona is not his strongest place. Guess what? He ended up in 7th place. I said he would have one top 5 before the end of the year. I still believe he will have one top 5 before the end of the year. And I also believe he'll stay inside.
I still think he's going to get multiple top 5s. Like, he should. He's a former winner in this class.
He has not won in this class. He's never been on the podium, actually. His best finish is a 4th. And he's also gotten a 4th in the 450 class.
I thought we were talking about Mosiman. Yeah.
No.
But no, Blos is still a top 5. He could be a top 5 guy. In this class, absolutely. He could be.
A top 5. He's a very talented racer. But the thing is, he's going to be there every single week. He's a veteran. He doesn't make the big mistakes. Mosiman might have, or doesn't might. He does have more speed. He shouldn't have a troubles beating Blos, but he doesn't have the consistency to beat Blos. At the end of the series, at this point, Mosiman's already lost too many points he needed to be putting ahead of him. He's inconsistent. He's banged up. Blos is going to beat him in the points. I have no question in my mind.
Have you looked at the points? I'm literally looking at it right now. Mosiman's beat him 3 out of 4 races, and all he has is a 21st, and Blos is only 2 points ahead of him.
But he's ahead of him. Ahead of him.
Well, yeah. Right now, 4 races in, which is shocking. You're right. We shouldn't even be comparing the two different riders and 2 different spectrums of their career. And the fact we're even talking about the 2 of them, comparing them, is pretty outrageous. So, but I'm still going Mosiman. Fuck you, Checkers.
You're wrong.
I like it. I like the spice right now. You guys are starting to really bring it. All right, the last versus question, and the last time that Checkers has the opportunity to get a point for this particular week is Cody Schock versus Jace Owen, Battle of the Hondas. Like, both these guys, honestly, they've had some really good results so far this year. I think Jace Owen has a little bit more in the tank, but Checkers, I'll let you go off on this one first.
Well, here's the deal. Jace Owen has quietly been a top 10 guy. He's been really, really good. He's overlooked. Cody Schock is a little flashier, but we just left Schock's best racetrack of the year, which is Daytona. He might have another blip at Atlanta, but Jace Owen is a fantastic supercross rider. I expect really good things from him in Indianapolis, where it's a little bit tighter racetrack and venue, a little shorter lap time. Jace Owen is super solid. He's super fast. He's super underrated. Cody Schock doesn't have what it takes to beat Jace Owen's consistency by any means right now. Schock, I hope, has some good finishes. I'm a fan, but he's not better than Jace Owen. And if we're going just Indianapolis, you definitely give me Jace Owen, because Schock is going to make the mistakes. He's not smooth. He's fast, but he's not smooth. So series and Indianapolis, I'll take Jace Owen all day.
Yeah, we are talking about the guy who ran in the side of the tunnel jump and survived. So
technically, it was
survived.
And survived.
We have a Zombie Junior on our hands.
Very happy. We're all very happy with that. And I have to give Checkers credit. He did say Cody would have a great weekend at Daytona, and he did. He pulled off a very strong 8th. But as far as Jace Owen being consistent, I'm a little disappointed. I thought we'd see more out of Owen as well. He's got 1 top 10, a 9th, and 11th, and then he got a 19th at Daytona. There's some definite swings with both those riders, Owen and Schock. I think that Schock is kind of, he's coming off a very bad season max last year. I think he's got a little bit of momentum going from Daytona. So just because I won't agree with Checkers, just agree with them to get a stupid point, I'm going to have to go Cody Schock over Owen. But I think that's going to be a great battle. They're 2 riders that are both. I know Schock would like to have Owen's ride. I think Owen's had some good rides so far and hasn't really completely delivered on his stuff. But Cody Schock, after his 8th in Daytona, will take down the Owen, number 62. Go Cody Schock. Dover, Delaware.
I was mistaken. We do actually have a few more versus questions available in this particular segment. Which star rider is going to finish highest in points this season? Speaking specifically of the East Coast 250 Supercross Championship, Hayden Deegan, Danger Boy Deegan, who's currently in 3rd. You have Smith, who's currently holding down the 4th place spot. And the only guy on the team that has a win so far is currently 6th. Debo, who's going to have the most amount of points at the end of the year?
Well, let me just bring this up to you. If you asked us at the beginning of the year, ask anyone between Hayden Deegan, Jordan Smith, and Nate Thrasher after 4 rounds, who would be leading the points? Not only that, who would be the most consistent? and that's turned out to be Hayden Deegan, the rookie. He's gone 4.483. Smith has a third, a 15th, a second, and a fourth. There's that one grenade. And then Thrasher obviously had his grenade at Houston and then had another grenade at Daytona with some crashes. But he's also got a second and a first. It's exciting to watch these three riders because I think they're a little bit different point, obviously different points of the career. Jordan Smith's kind of on the way on the twilight end. Thrasher's in the middle of it, looking to build, and Hayden was just hoping to show up and get some solid finishes. I think right now, I think man, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to go Jordan Smith. I want Deegan to stay strong, keep going well, but there's always that rookie mistake that's going to pop up. It's inevitable. It's happened to Ricky. It's happened to Pastrana. It's happened to Stewart. It's happened, you name it. A rookie rider always has that one grenade race where things just don't go well. It snowballs. Kind of we saw Thrasher even last week in Daytona. I'm going Jordan Smith. I think that he is in a very must win, must podium, must be the top guy in the truck right now. And I'm going with Jordan Smith over those. Going to be the top guy on the Star Yamaha.
Interesting stat that all three, Travis, Ricky, and James, led the points in all three of their first Supercross championships, and none of them won it. But I'll let Checkers chime in now.
Yeah, speaking of twilight of his career, you've been hanging out in the stars that Jordan Smith's good at seeing. Yeah, Hayden Deegan can afford a bad race. Jordan Smith's already had a bad race. And if you haven't noticed, Hayden Deegan is gradually building and trying to avoid those big rookie mistakes. He had his quote bad rookie race where he hit the ground 2 weeks ago. And guess what? He didn't completely grenade himself. He is so far proven that he is a very, very smart rookie, but I'm not picking him for the best. Thrasher is going to jump both of these guys because fact of the matter is he is the better rider of all of them. He is not known to make huge mistakes. He has taken a huge step up this year. It is surprising that he's currently sitting in sixth, but the dude has heart. He's started to figure out his starts. He is a front runner. He is the only one in the field, I think, that can flat out just outspeed Hunter Lawrence. Nate Thrasher will end up in front of both of them, but you are absolutely off base with Jordan Smith. He will be last out of this group by the time that they're done.
I just like making you just talk shit about Jordan Smith.
Yeah, well,
he's probably a really nice guy, and he definitely
is a nice guy.
I've never met him.
I think he might be better at golf than he is at riding dirt bikes sometimes.
I did notice he shaved his beard off the other day when somebody had commented about riding a 250 and having a full beard. And I did notice at Daytona he was clean shaven, so maybe he's trying to go for that youthful look. And that's But yeah, I think I was shocked that they signed him. I thought it was out of the blue. I didn't think he really deserved the ride, but I'm impressed with what he's throwing down. He has 1/15th, and the rest of his finishes are in the top four. So bring on Indy. Let's see what the man can do.
All right. Last but not least, we can't get out of this segment without talking about the Hardy Party. Hardy Party versus the world. Checkers, I'll give you the floor, my friend.
I don't even know what that means, Hardy Party versus the world, other than if you're not on the dang Hardy bandwagon, you need to get on there. I am officially joining the Hardy Munoz fan club. I am all aboard. He's made all 4 main events. He's beating factory Husqvarna's Talon Hawkins in points. He's the top full privateer. If he wants a dang race tech ride, call me up, Hardy. I will hook that bike up with some suspension that can take the hits that you go through all the time, because I am driving this bandwagon now. Well, I don't think I can take credit for driving it, but I'm fully on board. I'm on the roof. I'm waving my hat like Aaron Plessinger during opening ceremonies. I am all aboard. Hardy Munoz is crushing the world right now. And please, can we get a GoPro on his motorcycle? Maybe 3 of them, because 3 are probably going to fall off in crashes.
Yeah, you're not going to get me to argue with Checkers in this one. Our friend Ian Riley, we were in a couple draft games we'll get to in a bit. I know he jumped on board first, and we argued about the Cantazero stuff. Now we've just moved on. Hell, Cantazero, great rider, but it's Hardy Munoz now versus the world, and I'm all about Hardy as well. I just picked him up in our latest draft league, and I'm all about the guy. He brings excitement, a ton of energy, a ton of passion, a ton of chaos, and he's done great so far. He's got a 16th, 1 top 10, which I never even really thought he'd get a top 10. He has a 1 grenade there at Dallas, and then he has a 13th in Daytona. So, like I said, we're all aboard the Hardy Party train.
I like it, boys. I know we're probably going to run long on this, but it's time to. Oh, wait, is it time to debate with Debo? No, are we doing the
Yeah, we're debating with Debo. We have a little
You don't
bit
have
of
to debate with me. You've been debating with me enough. We can move on to something else, whatever you want to do.
No, we're going to debate with Debo. It's time to debate with Debo. I don't know if we need to get a gong or something. It is time to debate with Debo. Denny Stevenson, who in the 450 class has the most untapped potential or room for improvement, and in what areas do they need to work on?
That's a good question. Let me pull up the class real quick and take a good gander because,
definitely Ken Roxon, right?
Yeah, well, I still think that I'm still waiting for that untapped potential of Christian Craig to arrive on this Husky. But I think there's a lot still that he can still do on that bike. He's not obviously the young guy of the class. I would go with Aaron Plessinger as well. I was not disappointed, but I was shocked he jumped over from the blue bike to the orange bike. I think he struggled with the orange bike, but I think this year he looks better than he has. He's getting better in each week. And I think if we can keep him healthy through Supercross into outdoors, I don't know. There's just so much. It's such a big step to get up to where Tomac, Webb, and Sexton are right now. And even Anderson's realizing that. We talked about the age group and how they're getting older, they're getting more wiser, they're getting more fit on the motorcycle and figuring out how to ride this 450 to its full potential. And then there's guys who are just kind of stuck at their level. Where I think Plessinger's at right now. I think Barsis hasn't quite got to that level he wants to get to. He's older. I think he's settled in where he's at. I think Chase Sexton is going to be probably the biggest one who is still got the best speed. Obviously, I think he's going to have the fastest lap time in practice 6 out of the last 8 rounds. And we were just waiting for him to get over that hump of silly mistakes like Tomac made for so many years and figure out what it takes to become a champion on that 450. And I think Checkers would even agree with that one. I think Sexton is the one who we're waiting for to untap just a gold mine of wins and championships.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely waiting for that, but I'm still counting him. He's still my championship pick. But let me throw one name at you, Denny. What about Justin Hill? And what does he need to work on? I actually think a little bit better equipment. I think the dude has unlimited talent and potential, and he's kind of found some consistency this year and showing up. And I think he's having enough fun riding that he seems to be in decent shape. He's not fading super hard at the end of the motos. What do you think? Do you think that better equipment could benefit him?
We've talked about him and Josh. I think they're figuring out the motorcycle by working together. I think they're having an incredible time riding and working together, learning the motorcycle. I'm just watching them guys and their videos. They're jumping shit and having a great time in practice. And Justin, I think, was always, like I said, I know Justin and Josh since they were little kids. I sponsored them at Smith when they're in 80s, when Justin was on a 60 and didn't really take anything serious. He was more worried about riding his bicycle and chasing chicks and playing in the dirt. And I think that kind of carried over into his pro career, almost kind of like Malcolm's first years when he turned pro. Being kind of underneath the older brother. Justin obviously came out of nowhere, won that 250 title with Mitch, jumped on the Suzuki 250. Definitely did not do as well as we thought. But then we saw that one weekend on that 450 Suzuki, he damn near won the main event. He was working with Buddy Anton at the time. He was jumping stuff no one else had done. He made a couple mistakes, ended up getting a 6 that night. And then a couple seasons where I think he was just not really happy with the world and way things were working out for him. And he left the sport, realized that, man, motocross is a badass game. And this will probably be the easiest thing we'll ever do in our life and the most enjoyable thing. And we've seen him come back to the sport. And as you said, Checkers, he's laid down some solid results. I think every result's been inside the top 15 except one, getting better each week. I think we expect to see some top 10s. You had mentioned earlier when you and I were talking that, with the depleted field, riders like Justin Hill, Dean Wilson are going to be stepping up the program and getting these top 8, top 7 finishes, I think. And by able to run, kind of minimize some of the guys they had, some of the middle group of guys they got to run with. I think if Justin Hill can even be up front, we haven't even seen him get a good start yet. We barely see him during a broadcast. I'd be interested to see what Justin Hill does if he gets out a rider, behind Barsha or Plessinger, and maybe can pick up that pace and learn some things that maybe he hasn't seen all season.
I like it, boys. Yeah, definitely some guys who have some room for improvement, and that just makes the 450 class that much more competitive. It's time to dream on, baby. It's fantasy time. Not only are we going to get into the fantasy drafts, but we're also going to do our own draft, which is we had a snake draft at the beginning. I don't know if you guys got into our very first show. Did we do it live on our first show, or did we do it on our own?
No, we did it live on the first show.
We did it live on the very first show. Hopefully you've been watching since then. We have more viewers and listeners than we did back then. But yeah, we're here working on that every single weekend. So we drafted 4 450 riders and 3 250 riders in either coast. So far, the standings stand as thus: with 0 replacements, he's dodged every bullet in the game and currently enjoys a 99-point lead. It's Denny Stevenson, your 1990 125 East Supercross champion.
You could just see, that's all that red. It's in on the spreadsheet that those are injuries. So when a rider gets injured, that we're able to replace a rider. As you can see up in mine, like you said, I have survived unbelievably. You, Brad, lost your entire 250 East team before the season even started. I don't even know what the odds of that. I hope you played Keno or the lottery that week. And so after it was a game I just kind of came up with. I always like to see how people kind of pick their value of a rider, whether it be a 450 rider, an East rider, or a West rider. And so, but we're halfway through the season, so we're going to do a little redraft. Checkers is obviously gotten third with all that color. I didn't know that much color existed in an Excel spreadsheet. So Checkers gonna have the first pick of this second segment, and Brad will have second. I'll go third, and we can pretty much pick any rider off the rider list that we want, whether it be again 450, 250, East or West, and we'll collect their points throughout the season and see if Checkers and Brad can catch me, because I've been whooping their ass so far.
Yeah, I feel
that
bad
you certainly
for any
have,
rider
but
that. I feel bad for any rider that I draft, because 7 of my 10 slots had to have replacements. And I mean, it got to the point I've had to have replacements for replacements. And it's not even just in this game. I'm playing in another one with Denny, and it's the same thing. I'm having replacements for replacements. It has been an absolute disaster. So I'm tempted to not pick guys I like in this draft, because they might end up on the sidelines.
It's been a bloodbath for anybody that you've selected. And then you've even had to select the replace riders you've had to replace riders with. Yeah. So if you get chosen by Checkers in this draft, I feel sorry for you, because you might want to check your chiropractor and health insurance.
And
yeah, get some extra coverage.
So you can see on the screen, or should be able to see the draft board with the 450 riders, the 250 guys combined, and then there's actually one extra race for the West Coast, correct, Denny?
One extra race for the East Coast, and that shows in the stats. We did a projection of the average points from the current points and what the projection would be. So it shows that the East guys have a slight advantage, because they will have one more round. Yes, and then there's 2 East-West shootouts. So that will also bring things to a head, because when you combine 40 of the best guys together and only 22 make an event, shit gets crazy.
Well, if you haven't seen on the screen, as the number 1 draft pick, I have selected Eli Tomac to lead the charge, hopefully to make up some of this points gap that I've gotten myself into.
With the second pick in our fantasy silliness draft, I will go with Hunter Lawrence.
You son of a bitch. I didn't know you're going to go that way. I was ready to take him in the 4th round, because I figured I figured you're going Webb or Sexton, because that's kind of what the pattern's been going this year. Oh, I
figured one of those guys is still there when I need to pick. So
you are a shady son bitch right there. So so Tomac's gone, Hunter's off the board, and Hunter has a huge advantage again, because he's riding the East Series, and with his almost nearly perfect win rate, he is almost a 20-point advantage over everyone else in the 250 class. So hats off for Brad for realizing that. I was hoping he might miss that. So I'm going to have to take, with the 3rd pick, I'm going to go with Mr. Chase Sexton, so I can get him off the board. And then I'm going to go with, since we're going back to back, I'm going to go Sexton, and I'm going Webb as well.
Ooh.
Let's just go. It's just that way I can just assure myself I'm going to have podiums every single round. Isn't that how that's supposed to work, right? So,
right.
Yeah. So we're heading it back to you, Brad, for round 2.
All right, then I know I'd be giving up a lot on the 450 side of things. So let me give me Jason Anderson.
El Hombre.
Not a bad person to lead your 450 team.
No.
by any means. I
No.
really like Denny's doubled up 450 guys. I was hoping that maybe I could try to pull something like that off myself, but
I was hoping he's going to go jet so that I could take Sexton, but yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I figured you'd want that. Yeah, I'm in your guys' head.
all right.
Mm.
Back-to-back picks for me. So, man, I got to take the next solid 450 guy of Aaron Plessinger. So I have a double header of talent at the top of my 450 class that can be on the podium or in the top 5 every weekend. I'm all about the AP. And then I will take Jet Lawrence, Hunter's brother, as well.
Yeah, and he's obviously assured of a lot of wins so far. Just having that one less race in the East guys kind of evens things up a little bit. So Checkers moving with the Jet, which usually has been gone in any of the drafts we've done so far. Hunter and Jet are usually gone in the top 5, and we've got swept them up in the top 7 already.
All right. So moving forward, I think that he's gonna have a lot of success on the 450. I think he's gonna have even more success on the 250 to finish out the year. Give me RJ Hampshire.
No, you only get him in one class.
You only get him in one class. You can't double up. So you're just taking
give me the West, RJ Hampshire.
Hampshire in the West.
Hope you like brooms.
I
Pushed
think
a broom or two in my life.
I'm really looking forward to his 450 career. I hope that he gets more time on that bike. And I think I counted there's 3 more East rounds that he could ride. I know there's Indy and then Detroit. I don't know if he's going to do more than Indy. We'll see. I hope Husky gives him more opportunities, because I think Hampshire is the type of rider that instead of pulling him off the track and set him at home, I think he'll just get better each and every time he's on the bike.
I think just send him out there. Seriously, like there's nothing that can hurt. We've talked about that to nauseum.
To nauseum, yes. All right, well, so AP's gone. Jet's gone. I got 2 picks coming up. The value of Max Anstey so far has been just phenomenal. He has barely been off the podium. I don't think he's been off the podium. He has a huge value rate with that East extra round. So I'm going to be going for the bangers and mash of Max Anstey as he keeps his ball rolling into these few rounds. I'm really anxious to see how he does in these shootouts, because he's obviously a very smart rider. That Honda's working great. He's able to lay down heaters unlike I ever thought he'd do. He's clearly not on the 280 that I'm aware of, but Max Anstey has been crushing it so far. So I'll be taking Max Anstey as my first 250 rider, and then I'll be following that up with, oh man, I think I'm gonna have to go Nate Thrasher. I'm gonna be following up with another East rider. I think Checkers was correct, and he's got a lot of wins under his belt coming up, and that way I can even pad. If I can be wrong to Checkers, but you have to still kick his ass in this game. So,
covering his bases. Let me cover my bases by going with Justin Barcia. I think he's going to have a strong finish off to the season. I think he's going to be a perennial or a week to week top 5 guy.
and again, our teams will look great, as our teams look great going into for our first segment. So, which is, I think, the biggest key again is to keep these guys staying healthy and getting through these final 9 rounds and not taking off the last couple of rounds for the outdoors. And I think that'll be interesting to see who can get through the whole season, these last 9 rounds healthy, and hopefully all of them, obviously, because dirt bike's gonna be a very cruel mistress.
I left Roxon on the board. That might have been a mistake of mine.
Yeah, I bashed him all off season, obviously, on that Suzuki, but I took him in a couple of my draft teams, and he's been very consistent, top 5, top 8 guy every week.
Yeah, just looking through this 450 draft list, and I mean, for a guy that's going to probably be in the top 10 every week, I don't think there's, Ferrandis was for sure, back. Is Ferrandis back this weekend? Is that what I said? I reported in the thread. I can't remember. Was it AC's back? Ferrandis is out, correct?
AC is in, Ferrandis is out.
Yes. So, I mean, I can't leave Ken Roxon sitting on the board when we have 450 slots and the 450s line up every weekend. So, first of all, I'm going to go Ken Roxon. We're going to kick it. It's the second half of the season. I have zero faith in Ken Roxon, but I do think that hopefully he can get me some, maybe like 5-8 top 8 finishes or something like that. Something along those lines. And then, man, I kind of want to just completely handicap you guys and pick another 450 rider with Christian Craig. And
you'd catch shit you wouldn't get over that. I'd give you shit every single day we text about that one.
and I'm going to do it because I know you don't want me to, because I just took a lot of value off the board for you guys with Christian Craig is my draft pick. Oh, I can't wait to cheer for him every single weekend and tell you how great he is when he delivers points for me.
Yeah, he has been solid. I mean, he's I think his worst finish is a 13th. He's got a couple top 8s there. I think I need 3 more top 8s to get my excitement. Wasn't going to get 8 top 5s, so I believe it was 5 top 8s. I've changed it over to. So moving on to Brad in round 5.
All right, so 250. Give me Hayden Deegan. I think he's got multiple podiums in his future.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think Checkers was pretty smart by trying to sweep the 450 board. I'm regretting
Yeah,
my
we'll catch up. We'll make him
We
pay
get a
on
sound
other
clip on
stuff.
that, please.
We're so far behind in points. We got to give him a little bit of help. Let's be honest.
I was gonna say he's got a deep hole to dig himself out of. So
Yeah.
Sounds great until they're all sitting on the sidelines again.
Yeah, I mean, you've already cursed everybody. So
I was gonna say, what do you have against Christian Craig?
yeah, at this point, I'm just going to keep loading up 250 riders. So I'm going to take RJ Hampshire on the 250 is already gone. I'm going to take Cameron McAdoo. I hope Cam can stay healthy and avoid that Popeye arm again. That was one of the gnarliest I've ever seen on somebody.
Thank you for doing that, because I really didn't want to be the reason that Cameron got hurt.
Yeah, we're all Cam fans. He's from not far away in old Sioux City, Iowa. That guy's an animal. I've never seen anyone. I think anyone can agree. Just hit the deck so hard, yet never say die. He is an animal. So I'm going to go one more. I'm going to keep that East roll. I'm going to go Jeremy Martin. Wait, no, Jordan Smith. Might as well just stick with it all Yamaha team here.
Jordan, not Jordan.
Jordan Smith. We'll wrap up my the rest of my 250 East team. And we're on to you, Bradley.
All right, give me. He had a rocky start to his season, but he does have a win in a Triple Crown. Give me Levi Kitchens.
That's a good
Kitchens.
one. What do you think his ceiling is for this outdoors?
I think he can. I think like in a regular, like I don't think he can beat Jet straight up, but I think he can get second.
All right. What about
his biggest problem is his starts. He gets shitty starts.
Yeah.
Like he passes guys until the checkered flag. And if you're gonna do that, you're gonna lead a career like Mike LaRocco, who just like got shitty starts and charged to the front, got a lot of top like second through fifths.
And it's crazy how Mike never ever figured it out. I mean, eventually Tomac figured it out. I mean, eventually someone that talented as Mike has been his whole life. I raced him on minis because we're kind of from the Midwest area, and he could never get a good start, man. Even when we back
Suzuki's,
in the 80, and unbelievable.
Hondas, doesn't matter. Cowies, he was a bad starter. He was a bad starter on 500s. He was a bad starter on 125s. He even got, this is the proof that he was a bad starter. He got bad starts on the original rendition of the CR 450 when he first came out with that in 2002, when Paul Delorier was his mechanic. He had bad starts then, back when Kyle Lewis was getting every other hole shot. So yeah.
If anyone needed to team up with Mike Alessi, it would have been him. And I think that's crazy. Yeah. Star brought him in to work on starts with those guys. I think that's pretty awesome.
Man, it's pretty crazy that you guys left me Mitchell Oldenburg just sitting on a silver platter once again. The guy that no one talks about that just delivers solid points this late in the draft. And I finally kicked off a 250 East pick. I took Jeremy Martin. I'm just hoping there, 4 or 5 every weekend would be pretty solid for me with the team that I'm building. I have quite the army assembled.
Well, when we're able to pick the top 12 450s and the top 9 in each 250 class, it definitely helps a little bit shallower than what we do when we have 11 guys to pick in each class, or 22 in each class with our other leagues that we're in. Then you know that it's always some shit down there. You're picking some crazy riders at that point.
It'll be interesting to see who's projected to get the most amount of points throughout when we're all said and done this. Give me Honda HRC's Colt Nichols.
Only fitting that you end up with him, Brad.
He's my guy. I like myself with Colt Nichols. Good person.
I hope he turns it around. That would be.
I do too.
Definitely good to see. Let's see. Colt Nichols to Brad on the 450.
Where do you think he could end up next year? Think he'll stay on Honda? We talked about this before.
Good question.
I didn't really think he would end up at Honda, but
Team Tedder.
Part of me says he could possibly end up back there. Otherwise, really hard to say. Really hard to say. Honestly, I like that mid-level the mid-level support team in the 450 class is kind of gone the way of the Dodo Bird. Like, we don't have the RM ATV MC teams anymore. We don't have
we might have Rick Ware Racing back next year, though, it sounds like. So that might be a great spot for him. I know that they've been wanting to shop a couple rider deal, and that would be a pretty dang good spot for him. Maybe Supercross only and some World Supercross, because Colt's not really an outdoor guy either, as far as I recall. So I think that would be a nice landing spot.
And Rick Ware's got his hands in everything. Every type of car racing I watch on TV, he's got something to do with it. And I think didn't we just read that he'll be sponsoring a dirt track team, I believe now.
Yeah, he's doing AFT flat track as well.
Nice.
Like
I'm going to take Dean Wilson off the boards. I think we see some top 8s for Dean coming up. He's been running a solid 11th and 12th. I take him pretty much every other week in Motor Extreme, thinking he's going to get that top 10 point bonus. And every week he's right there, but he carries a great value, I think, in all fantasies right now, whether it's handicapped and whatever game you're playing. So I'm going to go Dean Wilson to get that 450 class picked up. And I have such a points lead right now. I'm going to take Dean Ferrandis. And not Dean Ferrandis, Dylan Ferrandis. I'm going to take Ferrandis and wait for him to come back, because I think when he does come back, he's going to run top 5. And if I take with Cincerello or Ferrandis, but I got a 95-point lead right now, I can kind of got some time to work with. Got 9 rounds. I think Ferrandis will be coming back, and I think he'll lay down some good times. Because other than that crazy crash at Daytona where he just fully went full McAdoo, not a good return to Supercross, but I think there's some good results before they kick off that outdoor season.
Goes full wackadoo. All right, give me Enzo Lopes. Checkers is going to go get Mosman.
Let's see. I have
or Blows.
A 250 East or 250 Wests left. And then Brad has a 250 East. And Denny has 2 Wests.
Yep. It's always a good thing to look at that.
East is, I need to get rid of Lopes here. Man. My choices are, but only one more East guy is going to go. I did pick that.
You need 2 Easts.
No, but you're only going to take one, and then the East is done, so it's up to me to clear the board with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did just say that Bloss is going to wipe the floor with Moseman for the rest of the year.
Lying through your teeth on that.
Styles Robertson at the moment. Does anyone have an update on Styles Robertson?
A little banged up, but he should be fine for Seattle.
Yeah, he's got 2 more weeks, or at least 10 more days or whatever.
He's more than that. He's there 14 days out.
Well, I'm going to take me some Styles Robertson.
Okay.
And Pierce.
So your
Brown.
West is done.
Oh,
Pierce
I only have
Brown.
1 West. Then I just need.
You had 1 West.
Dang, let me rethink my strategy here. Then Denny's going to take 2.
That's the rumor.
Needs to.
We're going to take Styles though, for sure. Sorry. I'm typing all this enough, so I haven't been able to strategize as much.
For
the 250 West is going to be my last guy.
That's your excuse.
Styles. Oh, I'm pretty stoked on my team here. All my guys in 250 West have had podiums.
That's
all
fair.
but one of my guys in the 450s have had podiums. So
Yeah, your 450 is pretty solid.
I think that you guys are just jealous. And then for 250
Uh,
East, I'll take Moseman. I'm going to go there.
You know, it's got to happen, right? I mean, the switch has to be flipped eventually. You would think or hope. He looked pretty solid for a brief time at Daytona, and then woo, once again, all hell broke loose.
all right. So give me Adam C and Cerullo.
AC baby, and he is coming back this week. Is that I looked for on? For
Yes.
He is
racetrack
coming
spot.
back this week. I'm hoping that I don't have to replace him at some point, but hopefully giving Adam some good mojo by picking him.
Yeah, you know, he was kind of racing his way back into shape, and then hurts his wrist. So once that injury train starts rolling, it's hard to dial it back. So as we all know,
Yes, sir.
no matter who you are, I've lived it.
All right.
Denny times 2.
250
We're going
West,
250
guys.
West. Oh, he's got to pick his favorite guy, Voland.
Who was your last guy you took? Checkers, Robertson, and who?
Styles Robertson.
That was, but you did.
And then Michael Moseman.
Oh, you did take Moseman. That's right. I just want to make sure. I don't know why I need West guys right now, and I hate the direction I'm going to have to go. You know where I'm going to go.
Max and Pierce,
Pierce.
the Lawn Dart twins.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, that's really the direction I'm thinking right now.
You have to. There's
I
literally,
mean, you have
you're not
Mumphy.
going Cole Thompson.
You have Mumphy or Matt Moss if you want to try to go a little bit
Ooh.
crazy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, they're not getting better than those two.
no, yeah, those were good ones, good depth ones in our deep leagues. But yeah, I think it's pretty much a no-brainer at this point. I'm gonna have to go. You already
Max
got
and Pierce.
Kitchen up there. They're lined up right there. They're projected at 65 and 64 points at the rest of the season, which isn't really that far off some of these other guys.
Is that your final answer? As much as you don't want to say it?
I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I look at deep in this field. There's really, I mean, they're both the top 5 guys, and they just need to produce. So I'm going Max and PB there, man. Little peanut butter and jelly and the Max Voland. They're rounding out my field right there.
I had a long, hard look at Pierce Brown, but I just couldn't take myself to do it. So I'm hoping that Styles can keep it together.
All right, to round out my 250 East class, I like myself some pro circuit guys, and when I pick them, they often get hurt. So I hope that's not how it works out for Mr. Chris Blows.
Yeah, I think we all like to see him end his career on a high note on a great team, give himself a top 5. I don't think he'll ever get multiple top 5s like Checkers insinuates. But
Who does Checkers have to pick? Who's the
Yeah.
who's
I
the
have
250
Pavial
East?
available.
Well, okay, he's not racing this weekend.
But who else was just picked in the East? I guess I picked Moseman. I thought there was another. Oh, you picked Blows. That was the other one.
Yeah, I picked Joe Blows. So it's
Um,
Shock or Owen.
who was your second
Or-
to last pick before Blows? Is that Lopes?
Mine?
Yeah, after Checkers Moseman, who did you pick?
He had AC, and then
AC.
he had
Oh, AC,
Blows.
yeah.
AC and Blows.
His fourth good year.
Um,
Yeah, so Checkers is left with one East rider, and there's some good East guys there again because they get that extra race, which will definitely help them add their bonus points there.
I thought Vial was just banged up, but he's not racing this weekend.
He's not racing this weekend. Between you and me, I would not be surprised to not see him until outdoors.
That's kind of what I was just afraid of and thinking. So,
And with that kind of, with the investment they have bringing over a 2-time world outdoor motocross champion.
I mean,
I would have wrapped that kid's bubble wrap.
if Justin Cooper is out till outdoors on not being hurt,
Yeah,
like if you're KTM, you like, all right, Vial, hit the showers, see you outdoors.
yeah, I actually support that move. You know, and all the other guys I say race, but I actually support that. Well, I can't drag this on all night. So I'm just going to have to go with, wait, man, I kind of want to go Colin Park, but I'm going to go Jay Sowen because I think he's just going to be a top 10 guy every weekend pretty much.
Right, he's going to be super quiet. He'll get like no television time and just put in his laps.
So I will take Jay Sowen. I'm not really all that stoked on that. I needed to do my research a little better, I guess, and know that Vial was banged up a little more. I think he'll be more consistent than Shock. So those are our teams, boys.
Your team kind of stumbled down the stretch there after like really loading up on 450 guys.
I mean, not really. My last two picks were hang on, Jay Sowen, Michael Moseman, Styles Robertson. Like, those aren't bad picks.
No, I mean we're looking at, we're picking 9 guys out of the East, 9 out of the West, and 12 from riders. That's a pretty.
There's some meat on the bones there, but I'm just trying to give you some shit here.
But when you got guys who win consistently and guys who are struggling top 10, the points quickly shift. And again, staying healthy no matter what game you play, whether you're hiring teams for real or just for fun, trying to keep these guys healthy seems to be a full-time job.
That was a lot of fun.
And we pulled there's some team managers, including these team managers, that are going to be pulling their hair out. It's time to play and set our teams for MXD 360, the game where we're not going to roll through the whole rundown on. Obviously, it's a salary-based league. You got $3.5 million to spend on your riders. Do so accordingly because you have to be a little bit thrifty sometimes. Sometimes the guy who sets the salaries, Denny, is sleeping on some guys. So there's some value in those picks that are usually highlighted in red. Pick one of those guys. They get a top 10. They get a bonus of an extra 10 points on the weekend. Most points wins the weekend. And currently, as they stand in the BigMX Radio League, in 11th place out of 23 entrants, and 63rd in the entire website, you have Chris Riesenberg, otherwise known as Checkers. Following not so far behind now, he's made up some space after winning out of the three of us this last weekend. We have Denny Stevenson currently sitting in the 15th place spot out of 23 riders, just outside the mid pack range there, 94th overall on his website, his own website, and he's not very good at the game. And then you have myself, Brad Gebhardt, the host of BigMX Radio, sitting in 23rd of 23 entrants in the BigMX Radio League. I'm currently sitting dead last, but I'm not dead last on the website. I'm sure there's some people who just don't even submit their teams. That's why I am currently sitting 158th overall. Respectively, this last weekend, it was Checkers with 119 points, Denny with 124 points, and then myself losing more and more and more ground with 112 points on the weekend. I actually only had 7 guys in there, so I didn't do too badly. But either way, I got hosed by Frederick Noren. We found out pretty late that he wasn't racing. He just didn't make the main. He did race. He just missed by 1 spot. So that kind of broke my heart. But I digress. It's time to pick our teams. Debo, you're the guy who set the handicaps and then the salaries for these things. So why don't you lead us off with taking us through your 250 guys a little bit?
Well, really my salaries are based upon the points. It's a formula I've worked out, and it kind of sets everything up. I do get a chuckle when I post the salaries on Twitter or something, and some folks think it's a real rider's salary and are disgusted with the salaries. And I'm like, some of these guys would be blessed to make that much, and some of these guys should be making a lot more. But it's the game, and I totally blew it last week. Checkers blew up Cody Shock. I had him early. His lap times were not phenomenal in his qualifier and practice, so I dropped him. I once again let Saturday morning race day live times get in my head, but I was pretty stoked. I had Jordan Smith, Jeremy Martin running top 5. Talon Hawkins took a big swing and a miss when he went down a couple times and ended up 18th. So that was kind of took some of my chunk away. But I think Thrasher is a great value. As Checkers mentioned earlier, he's got wins under his belt. He's got better days ahead. His 10th and his multiple crash, yet still got a 10th at Daytona was impressive, yet frustrating. I think he's a great value. Colin Park, Cody Shock. both at the 500,000 mark are top 10 riders who can get that top 10 bonus, yet they're right around that average range of about 500 grand. Then you got to look a little deeper. I think there's Luke Nice is coming back this week. I know that's one of your guys' favorite guys. I definitely undervalued when the season started. And then there's Jack Chambers, who finally got himself into a main event with a 17th, and he's down there at $53,000. So those are some pretty good values, I think, just to run through real quick in the 2D class. And I still haven't picked my team. I'm kind of working on it right now. I just got this thing up and running today. I got the new MXGP game up today, and then about 3 draft games going today. So we're deep in MXD 360. What do you guys think for 2D class today or this weekend?
Go ahead, Checkers.
Yeah, I want to jump on this this trio down the left side here of the Honda guys. Jace Owen, Henry Miller, Michael Hicks, I think are all really, really good values, especially going to an Indianapolis track that I think is going to be super challenging and technical, and you have to make sure that you finish. A guy like Henry Miller is going to be there at the finish. He is extremely solid, extremely good outdoors. He's low value right now because he had a bad Daytona. He had to DNF in the heat and then came through and was ripping in the LCQ, but didn't quite get up to where he needed to be. That's an uneven start. So you got to look at that. I don't know what to tell you about Talon Hawkins. He's burned me every time I've picked him.
None of us can pick him this weekend.
So you see
him.
the X-Red. I think Jack Chambers is continuing to be an amazing value. He's been fast every time, even the mains he hasn't made. He has hit the ground though, so that's a little scary, and he's only made one main event. So those guys are deep in the field, but I really like I said the value of the Owen, Miller, Hicks. I could see any of those guys getting a top 10. This is also a hometown race for Michael Hicks, so keep that in mind. Denny mentioned Thrasher, but he didn't mention Jordan Smith, who is I think also a very viable option. I think I would pick him before I picked a Hayden Deegan or a Jeremy Martin, most likely where they're at. And I mean, if Moseman does figure it out, he's a great value. So those are the value guys I've seen here in the 250 class.
For myself, not that anyone should actually take my advice because I am dead last in my own league. Right now, I like guys like Hayden Deegan. He's still got some value there. I think that's expensive, but it's not crazy amounts for him. Cody Schock has a good chance of possibly paying off with that extra point bonus, and he's also under. When you originally look at the average, I think it's you in an average about $500,000 per guy. So he's below that. And then, I think that trio of Owen, Miller, and Hicks could easily pay off. Hicks had a really rocky start to the beginning of his year, but he's only getting better. Another sleeper pick would be a guy like Caden Braswell or Luke Nice if you're looking for some serious value of guys who could sort of sneak in. Same thing for Devin Simonson.
Yeah, and also Notsky is a really, really good outdoor rider. And although Indy is super technical supercross, but the ruts, it sometimes benefits guys with outdoor skills, not always.
I think the ruts and supercross, like I liked it in Daytona, but I think the ruts plus supercross actually spells him to be like if I wouldn't be surprised to see him make the main event. I also wouldn't be surprised to see him like 13th in the LCQ.
One last thing before we move over to the 450s of any thoughts on Catanzaro? He's been pretty fast. I know he's not awesome at Daytona, but he's super low on the list. And if it's super technical, is he a guy to look at?
Not for a guy to get a bonus. Obviously, I don't think he's going to get a top 10, although he does have a podium in a supercross, but that was many, many moons ago. I could see him getting 19th, 20th, something around there. So if you're cool with getting 3 or 4 points out of him, he's worthwhile because he's a bargain, but picking him might really hurt your team because you're not going to get a lot of points out of him.
Maybe a filler guy there at the end. So looking over at the 450 class, there's the one thing to keep in mind or focus on here is really this big gap in the middle of the salaries created by guys not racing.
Just a triage unit.
Being injured. But also you got to think it really opens the door up for guys like a Justin Hill or a Dean Wilson, or maybe even a Shane McElrath to hit one of their bonuses. I think it's almost a no-brainer to take Christian Craig if he's available to you this week. I feel like he has to be in the top 10 with the field that we have lining up on the line. Having AC come back, that's pretty decent, but he's coming off of an injury. How healthy is he? And he's quite a bit more expensive than Craig, and I don't see him finishing much better than Craig if he even beats Craig. And then, of course, you have RJ Hampshire coming off of a good race, but if you didn't have him in Daytona, I personally would probably skip him. Do we know Colt Nichols? Was he just banged up and good to go for Indy?
I believe he's racing. To my knowledge, I think he is racing. Although coming off of injury or a weekend off, I'd have to see it from Colt before I put him on my team because he's still expensive.
For sure. And
like,
I mean,
he's $70,000 less than Hayden Deegan and could very well not race.
But you definitely want to look at Freddie Norton if he's okay, which he should be from his crash because he raced the night show last weekend.
Yeah,
he was a main event guy at the beginning of the year, and he is super cheap now. And the one thing is, once he's in the main event, he's a guy that finishes all the laps. And I mean, he can get a 15th, 16th, which isn't going to win the week for you, but it's going to save you a lot of money, which might allow you to win the week.
Yeah, like if you put a guy like Frederick Noren and Harlan on your team, they're not going to get a top 10, the bonus on all that, but that might give you an opportunity to pick an Eli Tomac or a Cooper Webb, who will definitely be on the podium.
And you haven't mentioned Checkers, our favorite chaos fantasy rider, Alex Ray, will be back this weekend. So,
God.
And for a mere $8,000, like if you want to ride that train now, he barely got a ride. It looked like he was wet in Cali, and he said his thumb's still a little sore. So I don't think you're getting 100% Alex Ray. And so that worries me. One, you're stressing him making in the main event, but two, once he's in the main event, how much is he going to be able to do? He was riding great at the beginning of the year. He hasn't been off that long to lose that base, but it's still, if it's a demanding ruddy track, the chances of him either not putting it in the tough blocks or just being flat out tired and stumbling around, I think is really difficult.
It kind of sounds like he's been partying a lot lately. Like I text Arlington, there was stories of him going out late that night, and same thing after Daytona. So,
and good on
I don't know if that's, hey, like live it up, man. But I don't know if that necessarily bodes well for like finishing races and all that.
He's enjoying the ride.
And Logan Carnell's right there at the same value. And Logan is kind of coming into his own as he did last season. The guy is
same thing with Kevin Moranz
dropping out. Moranz has been very solid. I actually picked him on one of my draft teams, and he obviously had a rough Daytona, but Daytona is always the anomaly. And as Checkers brought up, that huge injury gap right in the middle of everybody, it's pretty rare that you have Justin Barshett, 590, and then when the next guy's down is Justin Hill at 370. That's a $200,000 gap. It's just kind of the way the points have worked out. I think those guys will obviously be coming back, but I hate to give away my ideas, but I think that's what Checkers also said. Hill, Wilson, McMcElrath, Josh Hill are great values. Benny Bloss is always a great value if you can get that main event down a little bit more consistent. And again, by taking these lower price riders, can open it up again, like Brad said, to maybe someone like Tomac, Webb, or Sexton. And Sexton is still, a significant when it comes to value in the salaries. He's about $50,000, $45,000 less than Tomac. Yet we know he's just got another win under his belt coming. He's going to put this together eventually. And at that much of a salary differential between Eli and Chase, not a big difference between 3 points or him actually beating Eli in Indy. So I think he's a good value as well, even though he is up there in a $785,000 mark.
Yeah, definitely. That was what I looked at when I was selecting kind of my preliminary team. Is out of those three, you've pretty much figured that there's a really good chance that they're all three going to be on the podium. Sexton's the most likely to not be on the podium, I think, just because of crashes and that side of things. But when I look at it, I look at this as best case scenario, and he's the cheapest. I am a little nervous with it being Indy and ruddy and technical potentially. And again, we talked about it earlier, of his line choices late in the race and that side of things. I'm nervous.
I think this is going to be a Cooper Webb track.
I absolutely agree that cutting down in the corners, Cooper Webb should be really good. Chances are the whoops will break down, which it has been interesting this year. Webb's continued to blitz the whoops later and when other guys have gone to jumping, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, how about that at Daytona? Taking the wide line. Eli's taking the inside line.
Yeah,
Eli's hopping through them. Webb's blitzing them and looking good because the whoops were very big. Cooper.
Eli looked good hopping through though. Like I was very impressed. Like,
and that just showed how big those son of bitches were because and the greatest thing about Webb when Webb is blitzing well is when they're their biggest and roundest. And he is so good at finding that, as he is excellent at finding the way the track's breaking down. Yeah, that was really fun to watch at Daytona, and something I don't think anyone could ever guess that would be Webb blitzing and Eli hopping early in the main event.
No kidding. All right, boys. So let's give our preliminary teams, our Thursday teams that will likely beat our Saturday teams. If you make any adjustments, I often don't, just because I'm so bad at this game. I don't want to overthink things. But how about I kick things off? I usually go last and let you know who's going to win. I'll go first and probably let you guys know who maybe to stay away from. Sound good?
Sounds like we've changing the strategy. Might be what you need.
All right, perfect. All right, leading off my 250 class team, I'm going to go with Hayden Danger Boy Deegan. He's expensive, but I think he's worth it. Following him up with Cody Schock, Michael Mosman, and Henry Milla. Those are you got two guys who could very well potentially get their bonus and get me some points. Michael Mosman is better than he's been showing, although obviously with that injury that he sustained in the offseason, I don't know what his actual ceiling is, but he is a former winner in the class. And then you've got your 450 class, Chase Sexton, very expensive, but certainly worth the price of admission. I think he's going to stay on the pegs of his dirt bike. He's going to be fast in qualifying and likely put himself in a good position to get himself a podium this weekend. And then I also have Ken Roxon for $616,000. Obviously, getting two guys of that stature, I'm obviously having to save some money, so I went with Kevin Morans, who has been a main event guy who did not make the main event in Daytona. I'm banking on him making it into the main event on a very ruddy track, which now thinking about that, I might have to make that adjustment and go elsewhere, although I only have about $13,000 to play with at this point. And then you also have Grant Harlan, who did make the main. I think it was one of his professional bests last weekend in Daytona. I expect him to have more of the same, and he's a bargain at $102,000. Go ahead, whoever is next.
Go for it, Debo.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate your brother, Checkers, Jeremy Husenberg, who's is the points leader right now after 8 rounds, and in the driver's seat to win that Storm Lake Honda CRF 110, which I think we're all very impressed by, because I don't think anyone in our group's ever led the points, and he's done it pretty consistently. And I thought of that because he went with 6 Red Riders last week, and it worked out pretty well with him. So that's going to what be my theory is right now as well. Due to the fact the kind of team I had in Daytona opens up the value of those guys right in the middle, the upper echelon of the red guys, which is Colin Park and Cody Schock, which I've been bouncing around between at least Colin Park every other round. And it seems like when I have Colin, he has his worst race. So I hope I'm not cursing him. And then Cody had a solid race last week. I think he's still a top 10 guy, possibly top 8. I could change him again once how practice starts, because I got Marshall Welton in the 4th spot and in the red guy. And I'm not really 100% positive, but he fit in the salary cap where I was kind of working. But I do believe in Nate Thrasher. I think he's a great value. I think he's going to come out guns a-blazing. Indy, I can see him getting a whole shot and just disappearing from everybody. He's riding with some serious intensity, as we saw at Daytona. We weren't even really paying attention after that first crash of his, and all of a sudden I looked at the leaderboard and he was at 8th, and then that's when he proceeded to go again and jump over on the top blocks. But I can definitely see Nate Thrasher pulling off the win this week and having a great value. So my 2 best values in the class right now in Judy, I believe, are Thrasher and Park, at least for me, due to who I have available. In the 4V class, again, I've taken Justin Hill a couple times already, just because he's been a good value in the middle there, even when he wasn't capable of really running top 10s. But due to the attrition rate, especially for this weekend, I think, again, as we spoke of earlier, that he's definitely a top 10 rider. Dean Wilson, I've been taking Dean pretty much every other week, just thinking he's going to get a top 10, and he's been at that 11th place cusp, which is brutal because his value is more towards getting that 10-point bonus. And when he doesn't, it becomes quite a kick in the nuts. But I think we're ready for Dino to get that top 10 in Indy, get that 10-point bonus. And then to wrap out my hot guy is going to be Josh Hill. Josh has been riding better and better. He's become more consistent. There was a couple of rounds there we didn't qualify. I think we were all pretty shocked by that because we know what a great rider Josh is. But I think he's becoming more and more comfortable on the bike, as we've mentioned. And my final guy is Chase Sexton, being the third guy of the a third guy between those top 3 guys of Tomac, Webb, and Sexton. I think we're due for a win by Chase this weekend. I know Webb's going to ride well, but Sexton's got to be kicking himself in the shorts for the last few weeks. He's kind of had the fastest time easily, and then had kind of a struggling ride in Daytona where Barcia jumped on him a couple of times, crashed into him. I think we see Sexton rebound as well. So my team of Thrasher, Park, Shock, Welton, Sexton, Justin Hill, Wilson, and Josh Hill, where I'm going into Saturday. And I'm actually flying to Arizona on Saturday. We'll be landing about in time for the main event. So I hope they got Wi-Fi on Southwest Airlines.
Good luck with that, and good luck beating
Good
my
luck
team,
with that. Yeah.
because I agree with you actually that Nate Thrasher is a great value. So you have to take it. There's a good chance he can win or get second place, and he is about sixth most expensive guy. And then I opened up a lot here in the 250 class by going for this trio of guys of Owen, Hicks, and Miller, and I feel good about all of them. It's a hometown race for two of them. Henry Miller's completely solid, so when the track's difficult, I have nothing but faith in him. So the Honda trio of those guys are going to be my 250 team. I'm pretty set on that one, really, like, because of not having a guy like J-Mart available at the top, and I'm not going to go all the way for the expense of Hunter Lawrence and or Max Anstey, and I don't believe in Deegan enough to waste that much money on him. So I'm pretty set on my 250 team. We're going to look at the 450 side. I just actually realized as we were talking, I had enough money left in the bank to upgrade from Chase Sexton to Cooper Webb, which I think is really good, because I think Cooper Webb is just so solid. He will be able to hopefully cut down in the corners. I'm a little worried because when I was looking for the terrain earlier, I saw they were building loader whoops, which is less likely to be jumped and more demanding. So Cooper Webb, that might be a issue for him, but I'm all good. He's been
This
solid.
is such a Cooper Webb track. I'd be calling him for the win this weekend.
So yeah, I'm in on Cooper Webb. And then the big salary gap really doesn't bother me too much, because I have Christian Craig available this week, which I think he's been one of the keys to fantasy this year, really is hitting him on the weekends that you can get him and he gets the bonus. And then I'm really hoping Justin Hill can get in the top 10. And as my final 450 guy, to be able to get somebody like Josh Hill, who I believe will be in the top 15, is really, really solid, because a lot of times I'm struggling to get, and I'm getting guys that are, somewhat borderline main event guys and going to be somewhere between, 16 to 22. So I'm super happy with that. The money I saved in the 250 class to be able to really kind of load up my 450 team, where I think it's really solid, where two guys can hit the bonus and Cooper Webb can pull off a win, hopefully. And then I'll probably screw it all up on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm just hoping, out of the 8 rounds we've had so far, I think I've only gotten all 8 in maybe 2 or 3 times. But that's the early season when you're trying to figure guys at bargains and stuff. But as every season they start wearing in, they know their spot on the track, they just kind of are consistent. So at this point in time, we're just hoping to get a good value and be able to put the salary together to make it work. Yeah, I try and put out a cheat sheet each week, each Saturday. Prior to kind of shows a race by race for each rider. And then Saturday afternoon after race day live, I like to post one as well and send it out on the thread of each rider's qualifying spot. And usually that is the most disruptive thing you could possibly do, because then you start chasing those qualifying spots. And let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, one lap doesn't mean shit. 9 times out of 100, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, well, just ask AJ Catanzaro about that. Great qualifier, doesn't always get it done in the races, but hometown race for him might turn out to be a good one. Thanks for everybody who taking the time to watch this. Like we said right off the hop, if you need your suspension done, and let's be honest, you need your suspension done, Race Tech is the place to go to. They not only have amazing hats, but they also will get your bike feeling good on the track, as also getting some extra punch coming out of those corners, because they also do engine work. And you don't only have to go to California, you can also look up a local dealer. You can go onto their website and find one for you. Checkers, last words from you, my friend.
Oh, it's been fun. I look forward to smoking you guys in the draft game and starting to make up some of those points. The draft games are always super fun, and I'm really stoked on my team. I just hope that they all can stay healthy. That would be fantastic for them and me.
Yes.
100% agree. I dig the draft game. I dig the draft process. Another great show tonight. Always enjoyed talking to both of you guys. A couple of great friends. Fantasy Motocross, MotorExtreme360.com. I wish you the best of luck. I hope your season's going much better than mine. And if you haven't started playing yet, jump on in. Give yourself a chance for the jersey. And let's wish the best of luck to Checker's brother, who's got a chance to win that Storm Lake Honda 110, which I think we all get a chance to ride when we see him out there at the Riverside MX.
Hey, Brad, one quick question before we go. Who was more wrong tonight, Troy Dog or Denny?
Oh, Troy Dog by far. And that for the first time, Denny not being the most wrong on the show. Not only, I think maybe he deserves that trophy more than Troy does. But
I'm keeping the card.
It's safe to say that Troy was absolutely befuddled by those questions. We they were quite difficult if you're not totally top of mind when thinking about his particular crew is it he's a Troy Dog team or whatever it is.
Troy Dog squad.
Yeah, Troy Dog Squad. Easy to forget, easy to be absent-minded in a situation like that. But you know what, guys? As soon as we wrangle up some sponsors for this thing, I know exactly what we're going to do is the three of us are going to book an auditorium in a Supercross location near you. And instead of having a live YouTube show, it'll probably still be live on YouTube, but it'll be the three of us sitting on stage with some Race Tech swag being tossed out to the crowd and probably a Jeremy McGrath jersey hanging up in the background. And we're going to get to do something like that. We're going to blow the entire advertising budget on that one show, and it's going to be lots of fun. Working towards that. Thank you so much for everyone for watching this. If you're listening on the BigMX Radio podcast, be sure to watch live 8:00 every single Thursday evening as we look forward to the races that be. We talk about them. We proved any wrong, and we're going to do it all again in 1 week's time. Thanks again for watching.